have been doing it 20 years, and you
26.
26 years. So
I have done open mics with Cedric the Entertainer and Kathleen Madigan.
Jesus, Cedric, huh? That's a big one.
Yeah.
How long were you guys doing open mics together and everything?
Oh, just back in the 90s before they really took off. It was probably 97, 96.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing. Cedric's one of my favorite. I grew up on that. Like when I grew up in a black family. That is, so my father always collects DVDs, still does. But he has all the def comedy jams. Like anytime a new one would come out, and this was when VHS was still popular, he would get them. And the Kings of Comedy, the Queens of Comedy. So that was what was always playing. We always had that playing. My parents were hippies. People would come over to our house and they'd like buy some weed from them or just smoke joints and they'd watch movies. You know, people came over and hung out with my parents and smoke a joint. It was always a joint because they're old hippies. But yeah, and the Cedric was a big name in my home. Well, it still is. I mean, it was him, Jamie Foxx, Bernie. You know, all of these.
I can remember Jamie Foxx doing comedy clubs. He did I never seen him or worked with him. There used to be one in St. Peter's called Comedy Forum.
Okay.
And I can remember him doing that.
Man, yeah, a lot of people don't recognize him as a comedian anymore. They don't see him. They don't think of him as a comic, but that's where he started.
Oh, that's where he started. Yeah. He wet his chops. I can remember the old Funny Bone. It was across the plaza from where it is now. And I can remember before I started, you would be common to see George Carlin, Jay Leno, Jerry Seinfeld, you name anybody that was big, they played that Funny Bone.
Yeah, that was a great time for comedy too, especially to be in the comedy game because you were like in and out of the open mic, so you knew who was coming, who was performing.
I was probably at the end of the first boom. Yeah. It started kind of going downhill when I got into it.
Well, what 26 years ago? So that was what 90s, early 90s.
Yeah, about mid 90s, about 90. I did a charter open mic in 95. That's the first time I ever tried stand up, and it was just so horrible. It took me a year to get back on stage again.
Oh no, yeah, that's mine didn't go the best. I pissed off Alex Blodgett's this old lady pretty bad because of my. I did a joke that I still haven't really tried to polish up, but part of it, yeah, my abortion joke, which isn't like a bad one. It's just abortionists are bad pediatricians. It's just a comparison joke, you know, the quick one. But before that, it was like I went into depth with like, you know, 1.4 women die a year from getting abortions, which I guess they caught a midget in there somewhere. Like,
I love your stuff. You're just so dark.
And I was like, so my wife was really worried about that if she ever got pregnant about an abortion, which I kept telling her, don't worry, I'm not that lucky. I can't kill two birds with one stone. And she was not happy about it. And I haven't done it really ever since. That was my first night. And I was more of a storyteller. I didn't do one-liners, and it was all storytelling because of like Jamie Foxx and all those guys I grew up with were storytellers, and that's how I started writing for a long time.
Oh, my second time is when I really pissed some people off. I did good. I did my first time I went at Comedy, etc. in Fairview Heights. I did good. Second time, I went up there, and I'm being dirty, and nobody's laughing. Mm. I could hear buttholes snapping shut. It was just like quiet, like right now. And I think, I need to be dirtier and say cocksucker a lot more. Try to say fuck every other word. Nothing. I just keep getting dirtier and dirtier. Nothing. Oh. Come to find out, it was a comedy contest, and a gal from Branson brought her church group to watch the contest. Oh. That was the whole ladies' church group of Branson.
That was the word. That was their lot. You may have like ended somebody's night, and like they went home and had a heart attack. Remember? And Joe the Animal's dirty second comedy set.
I'm probably sure I burnt some people with they'll swear they'll never go to a comedy show again. I kind of take that as a sense of pride.
I say that sometimes at some open mics I go to. I'm like, oof, I don't know. If it's not just all comedians in this club, I don't know why anybody would have stuck around this long. I had a horrible set 2 nights ago at Tonario's Ophir place. And I felt really bad for Zach Spilo because Rod Lyles, he was hosting, and he encouraged booing at the beginning of the movie.
The difference between a black audience and a white audience is the black audience lets you know you suck.
Yes.
First time I ever did an all African American urban club, the guy before me, they basically booed him off stage. I went, damn, because you see some people eat their ass.
Yeah.
And I mean, just both hands.
Well, Spilo's only been doing it for like maybe a month or 2. He got into, I think, Arena Bar was his first one, like when Gary Becker was doing the Arena.
Ooh, that's a rough one, too.
Oh, yeah. I did really good there at the end. I figured it out. They're all drunk and assholes in a way. So I would just do my quickest, horriblest one-liners, like the darkest.
You can't give them much time to think.
Yeah, you just gotta shock them. That's all they wanted, and I could do that. I had a guy buy me a drink. He's like, "Did you really write some of those?" I was like, "Yeah, I wrote all of those. You won't ever catch me doing it." I was like, "Those are simple, quick, easy one-liners. That's like the simple thing." Once I figured out what a joke is and what it consists of a joke. Like that's easy. Being a good storyteller. Everyone loves a good story, and if you have somebody that can tell a good story, write and tell a good story, I mean that's.
I'm kind of getting where I'm more of a. When I started out, I was more of a prop comic, and I got sick of, going through my kids' toy bucket, and then my kids start getting older. My props went to Goodwill, and I got sick of dragging a garbage bag and a tote with me every time I went to an open mic. It's like, screw this. And you had to walk upstairs a couple flights of steps of the old comedy club in Fairview Heights. So it sucked. And I just thought, screw it. I'm just going to, nobody. Then first thing I found out, nobody likes prop comedians.
I do. I think that if you're good.
I think Carrot Top kind of ruined it for everybody.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Yeah, Carrot Top definitely did kill it.
But, I mean, he just made himself the king. Him and Gallagher kind of made themselves the king, and nobody can top it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they did. Well, I don't know. There's no prop comics nowadays, and it's such a new time. There's no new props out there that you could be using. Like, you could probably, if you had a smart speaker, you could probably figure out a bit to where you incorporate the lady on the smart speaker into your bit, and I'm sure there's a way. I love all, like, Mr. Showtime when Mike Tobin at the Back Door books him. Love it because he has a unique show. He's got some props. He had a magician once that was up there that was like a comedian magician. I like the uniqueness.
I did a story last night about Jeff Kovidnik's misadventures as being a magician. You've met Jeff before, haven't you?
He sounds familiar.
He's a big dude. He's blind. Having cataract issues.
He was at the last
Mason.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
And he does the guitar, right?
Yeah. And his wife got into it with a magician that came up there to Mason City. The guy was a dick towards his wife, so he thought, I'm gonna do me just a screwed up magic show. And he was in a contest at Hey Guys, and he figures, I don't know anybody in Fairview Heights. I'm the only one here. I'm coming here. It's usually some schlub brings all their friends from accounting and they win it, and then they never do comedy again. They bring everybody votes for Tony, and then Tony never does comedy again.
Yeah.
And he brought all the people he won, but first time he eats it, he never goes on stage again. Well, Jeff decides to do an Andy Kaufman, where he's just going to go up and do the most fucked up act he can possibly do. He's like, pick a card, any fucking card, not that fucking card. And then he went to the Chinese buffet and ate a bunch of chicken wings and took a bunch of that raspberry sticky syrup, the sweet and sour syrup, and mixed it with some dog hair. And then his last final, he's got to pull a rabbit out of a hat. Now, keep in mind, the ladies that are judging this contest aren't comedians. Instead of Bruce going out and getting some comedians that are noteworthy, somewhat noteworthy,
Yeah.
he goes and gets Agnes from the flower shop, Jane from the travel agency, Mariette from the dry cleaners. These ladies have no clue about comedy. They probably think Jay Leno is racy.
Yeah.
Oh, that Jay Leno, he's just so naughty.
Yeah, that era. Okay, yeah.
And they're old, probably 50-something women. And
They don't
Jeff
even know
gets
how to
up there and he's
judge.
like, fuck this, fuck that. And then he's doing his final pull the rabbit out of the hat, and he reaches into the hat and pulls this conglomeration of fucking hair, bones, and it's dripping with that raspberry syrup where it goes down his arm. And he just looks at it and goes, fuck. Slams it in the hat and walks off.
And he didn't win?
And I think might have been Will O'Donnell. Is he or Will O'Donnell? I can't remember who it was. Will or I can't remember. It was one of them or Andy. It's either Andy Hamilton or Will O'Donnell was the host that night. And you know how you pull a dove, you reach in there and you pull what is it, like a tank of chips all tied together. Well, Jeff goes to Aldi's and buys a chicken breast by itself, where he kind of broke the wing off and stuff, had some feathers on it. Like he's pulling a dove out, but he just pulls out this bony chicken breast. The feathers go flying there. Hands it to Andy Hamilton, and he's sitting there going, "Fuck."
Yeah, I love this guy.
The look on them old ladies' faces it just got dead quiet, except me. I'm going,
Yeah, I would have
and
been.
a couple other comics that got it, but these old ladies and the audience members just, you just feel the wind suck in.
Yeah, you can. You just feel it, all of a sudden, tension everywhere. Like, oh shit. Yeah, I did a comedy competition last week, and I got second place. Which, I'm really surprised because some of the guys over there Marquise Moore beat me by 3 points. He won the whole thing. And then there was Jason Nelson, which did really great. Who else? There was a lot of comedians there. Gary Becker, Jake Pellick, Bukovich, Lauren Peterson, Tonario. I think it was Reggie, Tommy Dangerfield. All of them. It was at the Word Up, and I wasn't expecting to get second, but I did. Did you ever just get in the zone? Like, I'm not one that does too much crowd work, but they were giving me the right stuff. That they were setting it up perfectly.
I don't
do much crowd
I'm
work.
not like Kai Fields. He can go there and start picking on this person, that person, that person.
And he sits in a whole other room half the time. He doesn't even pay attention to the crowd. He doesn't do. If you pay attention to him, I've watched. He goes and sits like at the bar in the restaurant or in the back room at Mason City, and doesn't like even pay attention to who's in the crowd. Not until he gets on the stage. It's like, that's fucking amazing. Like I usually, because he's so far on the end of the list, he has a long time to kind of through the whole think. That's how I met him. Is he used me as one of his, at the Helium, one of my first time at the Helium, and he did the pothead thing, kind of joked me on that, and then I did my set, and then I went to the bathroom, and he was coming out. And
first time I seen him was in Champaign, and I thought, this guy is amazing. It was just for the open mic, and I was just highly impressed.
100%. It doesn't matter if there's one person, if it's an open mic and there's only one person there, he is 100% and just goes to town.
My favorite Marquise Moore story is HD did a bar show in Afton. Little rum-dum bar. It had like a stage and then a back bar area. Well, first couple times it just completely ate balls. Where it just me, him, Tyrone, Jack Merriweather, Marquise, and maybe a couple other people, and maybe two guys, and then a guy in a wheelchair got in a fight with another dude. Was saying some racist shit, and the dude in the wheelchair beat the crap out of me. That's the kind of place this was.
I've seen the Champaign open mic. It shut down after COVID, right?
I think so. I don't know if he's got it back up. That was a fun room to do.
Yeah, I was gonna.
It's kind of like an old. It's kind of like an old funeral home. Yeah, it's worthwhile to get in with Jesse and Justin. They're both good dudes. I like them.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times. I just haven't been able to make it out there. I'm construction worker. I got to be up by 4 to get to whatever job site I'm on by.
Well, if you got a rainy day or something, it's the weekend,
yeah.
and you get rained out, it's just going to be pouring rain all day. It'd be worthwhile going up there. It's only 3 hour drive, probably 3-4 hours from here.
Yeah, I would definitely make the drive all day. That's not an issue, especially with my little car. Like, and that's one thing.
I had one of them cost me $13 to go to Chicago.
Yeah. If you got it all tuned up. If I didn't have all my tools in it, too, I'd probably get great gas mileage. But I've got it slammed packed. I got enough tools in there to build a house. Like that's what I do. I got ladder racks for it too.
That's what you do.
Yeah. So,
but back to Marquise. We're doing this little rum dum bar, and then I walk in for the next open mic, and it was packed. I thought, finally, this thing's catching on. I've done produced my own shows. You might do 2 or 3 of them, and then the third or fourth one, wow.
Yeah.
And then 2 more sucks, and then one's halfway good, and then you get another good one. It's hit or miss. And I thought, wow, we finally got some people here. And a dude walks over and goes, our friend Marianne died of cancer. We're here celebrating her life, so we're just going to stay back here. You do your little comedy show we're going to do here, but we're not going to interact with you. We're not going to pay attention to you. Great. So we're doing our comedy, doing an open mic, and it's basically, to us, 8 comics.
Yeah, I've done a couple of those.
We're doing that, and the room's packed, and they're talking and carrying on. We're trying to do our shit where these people are talking and carrying on. Marquise is up there in the middle of doing his bit. Dude walks up, grabs the microphone from him, and go, hey, I want to give a shout out to Marianne. She gave a valiant struggle with cancer. She's left 2 beautiful children, a wonderful husband. Her mom and dad love her. Her grandparents were killed on the way to the hospital when she was dying of cancer, but she fought it bravely for 6 months. And this guy goes on for about 10, 15 minutes, the most saddest goddamn story I've ever heard in my life. Jack Merriweather goes up and grabs the microphone and goes, cancer has claimed another victim. This show.
And Marquis Moore just probably didn't even know how to react.
Mark, he was stunned. He just didn't know what to do. He's a good comic.
Yeah, he is. He came back and beat me, and he said he hadn't been doing it for like 2 months. It was his first time back. I was like, damn, makes me feel great. But and he's the first person. He was hosting the Back Door the first time I ever performed there, so I've always remembered him. And I've watched him perform with John Maddie. I've seen a lot of Maddie's shows just because me and him were good buddies before he ever got into comedy. So,
yeah, he was part of the No Name comedy crew that was for a while there. They had a club. About 60 people, not much bigger than this basement.
Oh, I've thought about it. I've thought about putting on one here, building a stage and everything that I could just prop up but especially with all the land I have, I could in my backyard build a nice stage and set it up to where I could have a show. But my wife is, a wife. So you started it. You've always been out here, St. Louis comedian?
Always St. Louis.
Always St. Louis. Where's your favorite place that you've gone and done comedy?
The Effingham Convention Center. That was probably the best venue I've ever been to, because Styx, Willie Nelson had performed there, and it's about the size of the Fox Theater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they had it kind of curtained off to have for the comedy show we had. It didn't have near probably fourth capacity of what it could have, but it was a big house, and it was really cool to do a show in a room that big.
Yeah, I can imagine. Willie Nelson, I seen him once. I got into a fight with a guy. His old lady was really drunk. Me and my friends were standing there watching him. I was with an older couple, and I had my girlfriend, and she come in. We were standing upstairs at this railings that you can look over and see the stage and everything. And we'd been there all night. And this lady tries to come in there, and she's all drunk, and she's trying to like push her way in between us and everything. So I had just thrown my arm up like this up against the rail that was there, and she come in trying to push up. And threw her tit on my arm, basically, and was like, "You trying to touch my titty?" And this is an old biker looking broad, like, and I'm there with this dime piece that I was like 18 at the time, and so that was all about looks to me then. And she goes and gets her big burly biker looking boyfriend that she's got, and comes up to me and he's like, he's drunk too, and I'm with some older fellas that I'm like, I don't want to be like a bitch. So I just had that gut feeling like he was trying to tell you. He started doing that, and it was like, so I just started swinging. I was like, we're in a bar. It'll get broke up and stopped quickly. So I just fucking swung and gave him 2 good cracks before he could get a hold of me. And at that point, bouncers and everything were, and luckily, one of the main security, like the head guy, had seen and watched it all go down because we were standing right there at the door to where security pretty much checks in and is there, like clocks in, everyone clocks in, and he had watched the whole thing unfold and was like, I can't believe you swung on him, dude. Like, I can't. He's like, that's a big guy, and I was much smaller than I'm still a little guy, but I went down. Like, all those guys thought I was tough, but I'm not tough. I was just. I've learned real quick, don't be the first one to get hit because it doesn't usually fare out for the person that gets hit first.
I had some asshole kid was shooting bottle rockets at my car at a 4th of July. During the 4th of July, Troy shoots off fireworks,
Oh, yeah, they do out here too. Yeah.
And this fucking kid bounced one off my windshield. I go, hey, fucker, that's my car. Oh, you mean that's your car? And he shot a second one that bounced off my car. I was going to kill him. And then his mom and dad, well, you leave my little snowflake alone. He didn't mean to do that. And his dad comes up there, little short guy. He thought he was.
Oh, yeah. Had to be the tough guy for his kid.
He's got about 5 buddies. I thought, well, no sense letting him throw the first punch.
Yeah.
I swung at him. Somebody yanked me backwards. I just missed his chin by about 2 inches.
Yeah, I've had the time, but I've learned.
It'd have been ugly. It'd have been me against 5 guys, which I could have probably held my own before I went down. I'd have got a few licks in.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you get a few in. Believe me, I've woken up and called my buddies, like, what happened last night? Like, who kicked my ass? They're like, nah, man, it was even until you went down. It's like, they got a couple good hits in on you, and I've also been I stirred up shit when I was in my 20s too. I remember I was a classic at a bar hollering at an older woman while her husband was in the fucking bathroom, come back, and I'm sitting next to his old lady, and he wants me to move, and I'm basically this coked up asshole, like, piss off, bro. And I wake up underneath my bar stool, pretty much, knocked me the fuck out, and then bought me a beer and taught me a little bit about life. I was like, if this isn't the most, like, fucking crazy shit. He was a nice guy. He's like, but that's my wife. I was like, yeah, I'm an asshole, man. And I'll be the first one to admit, I'm a moron. I say shit sometimes I probably shouldn't say, and I do shit.
We had this place called Granny's Rocker. We used to hang out when we was young studs where the kids came. And my cousin, he was there, my best friend. I think his brother and sister-in-law. And they were all kind of hanging out, and his wife was pretty hot. And she was dancing with his sister, and this guy was down a level, and he's just looking up, smiling. Now, typically on a Friday or Saturday night, we went out and we started shit. We used to find some preppy guy from Highland. We'd piss in his beer or something, try to get him to swing. He just go around starting shit all the time. But this was one time we wasn't honestly out to start shit. We're having a good time. This guy's sitting there smiling at Gina. Brian was chewing tobacco and spit, and an arc went 25 feet in the air and hit this motherfucker right between the eyes. And we had to all file out of there when the music's over with and they're closing. I thought, that guy's going to swing on Brian. It's going to be on. And we all walked by him. Guy just looked at Gina and goes, you're a good dancer. And Gina goes, Brian goes, thank you. We walked out, nothing. Well, then the guy follows us out to the fucking parking lot. And he's walking around going, yeah, my dad, he dug a basement. I helped him, and I dug a basement. We drank a case of beer and ran our shovel broke. So we dug it with our bare fucking hands. I go, dude, you want a chest or a medal to pin it on? So this dumbass, he looked like Coke, Mr. Coke 1980, hairy chest, Disco Danny with the gold chains, hairy chest, V-neck shirt. He grabs me by the shirt, and I swung at him, and I just missed his nose by about an inch. Fell, hit, banged my fucking knee. He took off running. So he knew he
wasn't ready for it.
He didn't want no part of me. Then the stupid motherfucker followed me and my cousin back to Troy. My cousin is fucking 10 times crazier than me. He's
I don't think I don't. I can see many people see. If it was me and I'd see Troy, Illinois. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Let's cut our losses. Just doesn't sound like a place that you're gonna find a home that doesn't own a gun.
My cousin was basically Mad Max with an LTD. He had an old Ford LTD, and this guy had a Datsun, and my cousin, the guy was
back then
following,
was a cool car.
This guy was following. It was a pretty nice Datsun too. Yeah. He was following Brian. Brian slams on the brakes. This guy slams into the back of him, busts all his front end up, taillight. Brian speeds up, does a fucking donut in the middle of the road, goes back, buzzing around this guy, charges up, hits up the side, and just takes his bumper up the side of that Datsun, just put a crease up the middle of it. Spun around,
Jesus.
Slams into the back of him, bust out his taillights too in the back of the car, and then drove up the other side of him, fucked the other side up. Just totally fucked this guy's car up. He had the big LTD, it didn't even scratch the son of a bitch.
Yeah.
It had a little scratch on the bumper, and that's about it. He totally destroyed this guy's car. And this guy's found, seen where we pulled over at the one dude's apartment. He went around the block, you fuckers. And then he went around the block again. Woo!
Guys,
and he was all drunk. He had a lot of beer in him and stuff, so he probably got a DUI on top of it. He's the one got his car wrecked and a DUI.
Yeah.
Brian didn't ever get in trouble.
Yeah, that's I'm the first one to dip when it's like when shit goes down. I've noticed a lot of guys they'll do that. They'll keep fucking sticking around after some bullshit goes down. I mean, my wife knows like if anything ever does, which it doesn't because I'm pretty content with who I am now. I don't have anything to prove to anybody anymore. But if for some reason it does, I've always told her, if shit goes down, don't wait around. Go get the car and have it out front ready to go. Because after shit goes down, I know I'm leaving. I'm not waiting around talking shit. Security's not going to hold me. I'm leaving. And that's that. So be ready because I'll leave your ass there. I'm not going to jail tonight. And she knows the rule. I look at her sometimes if I feel nervous, like, what's the rule? And she's like, get the car and have it out front. But so
and we got a police escort one time out of Pawnee.
Pawnee.
It's a little town up there on the way to Mason City. It's before Springfield, and there's like a little convenience store. You say, "Welcome to Pawnee," and it's right before you get to Springfield.
There was towns before Mason City.
This is before Springfield, honestly.
Springfield's like the college area, isn't there? Some colleges and stuff out there in the capital,
like Land of Lincoln, and then it's the big government complex.
Yeah. I think I've been there when I was down here as a kid once.
But this guy was talking through the show, and he called my friend Buddha's wife a cunt. So I decided to make him the star of all my goat fucking jokes.
Oh, yeah.
And then I said, hey, this guy got a blowjob. He said he got a blowjob out in the parking lot. All the audience applause. Yeah. I asked him, how was it? And he says, tasted bad, made my neck hurt. Everybody. Well, I pretty much verbally butchered the guy. I have plenty of stuff in my arsenal. I pretty much destroyed him. Well, Longhorn gets up there and starts doing his spill. The owner comes up. I'm tired of you fucking this show up. And then it turned into a big fight. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, the cops are there waiting for us to finish the show so we can get out of town.
Yeah, that's like, who was it? Bill Burr did a famous one, his famous Philly rant.
We was just talking about that last night on the way home.
He's like, 9 minutes. Your biggest fucking star is fucking Rocky, a fictional character. 8 minutes left. I hope all you motherfuckers die of cancer. And I was just like, God damn. And by the end of it, they loved it. People were cheering at the very end.
There's so many open mics I'd love to have done that.
Yeah, Ronaldo at that open mic that I was at on Thursday bombed pretty hard. He didn't. I did. But, everyone kind of did. Ronaldo went at Lyles. He was like, isn't it funny Lyles fucking said it was okay to boo after his trash ass set? He said, I see you're wearing camouflage. What are you hiding from? A successful career in comedy? And a couple other jokes, and it started tapering off, and Ronaldo was like, yeah, I'm tapering off here. I don't have much left. He's like, I'm fucked after I get off of the stage, because Rod was hosting, and then Rod he came back at him. It was funny. It was cool. There was no hostility. Obviously, they're just comedians. Usually, you don't see two comedians like. I think the best one I've seen so far was Jason Dormeyer and Quentin Wilbert at the roast battle competition at the back door. They both, Jason Dormeyer's old lady now, Nicole Gorey, she's was dating, or her and Quentin had a little thing going on for a while. And Jason Dormeyer and her had a thing going on, and then her and Jason Dormeyer are, I guess, exclusive and a couple. Well, all of that came out on stage.
Ooh.
On top of the fact that this had happened previously between another girl and Jason and Quentin, so it was like the second time this has happened, and it all came out. But it was great. It was funny, and. It couldn't have went better, like, especially since I had just gotten the story. Like, Quentin had just told me about everything that was happening and everything that was this whole situation was, because Mike changed up the rules at the back door from it being like rounds every other week. We were gonna do rounds. There'd be a comedy competition, and the people that won out of that would move on to the next round and know who they were facing. Well, instead, he just did it all in one night, like went through. So everybody had to like pretty much write jokes for everybody.
Only time I ever did a roast battle like that was against, was out there at the Arena Bar. And I did good the first three.
Yeah.
And then I hit Nathan Art, and I just lost all my bullets. I had no bullets again. I wasn't prepared for him.
I hear a lot about Nate Norton. I haven't seen him perform. He was out in New York. He came here and did his podcast. He recorded his podcast here not too long ago. Him and who was the other guy he's got? His buddy Lucas
Hinderleiter.
Yeah, him. They came here and did their podcast with a couple of guests, and but I haven't seen him perform. So, but I hear a lot of people mention him and talk about him.
He's fantastic. Yeah. I think he's going to be the next big name to probably break out of St. Louis. Definitely.
Yeah, I hear his name, but I've seen Reggie Edwards Cush or whatever perform, and I've talked to him a bit, and I think Reggie's
he's good too.
Yeah, Nate. They're both out in New York, I believe. Reggie was.
Well, Nathan's back here because of the COVID and stuff. I think a lot of comics.
So is Reggie.
Even Nikki Glazer came home.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to get all them booked on a show. I've reached out.
I see Nikki on everything, and I've done a lot of open mics with her and stuff, yeah. And I pretty much seen her start out.
Yeah, you got to see. You were there with a lot of the.
I was there the very first. Tommy Johnigan. I was there the first night he ever went on stage.
What about the Tory Brothers? Did you ever do anything with any of the
I just missed the Scar Brothers.
Yeah.
Tory Brothers? No,
yeah.
I didn't never do that. Never did cross path with Tory Brothers. I just missed the Scar Brothers. They started out here. Even the Blue Collar Comedy Tour started out here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Who's from here that was part of that?
Well, Bill Engvall, I think, was living here at the time, and he was performing a lot at the South County Funny Bone when they used to have the one at Ronnie's Plaza.
Oh, I didn't know they even had one at Ronnie's Plaza.
Oh, yeah, they had one at Ronnie's Plaza.
And I like the one at Valley Park that they had for a while.
Yeah, it was good, too. The flood killed it.
Yeah. That, and I heard management, it was hard to book that to keep everything going, because I think this Funny Bone down here is the only Funny Bone that's not corporate. It's personally owned.
It used to be the one, and it was like 400 Funny Bones at one time, and I think somebody bought half of them or something. A lot of them have went out of business. There used to be one in Springfield. There used to be one in Bloomington. There used to be one in Evansville. Yeah. Well, Donnie B's was originally a Funny Bone.
Yeah. And
it was Donnie B's Funny Bone in Springfield and Donnie B's in Bloomington.
I just seen some stuff on his. Has he got a show coming up or just had a show, I think?
He had Boom Boom up there, who's a very good Boom Boom Johnson. He's very funny dude, very high energy, very fast. Right. I've worked with him before. He was up there this weekend, I think. And Donnie's kind of going through he's kind of homeless right now, so he's just doing shows out of Jacksonville. I think he's doing an open mic. He's only doing it once a week now, or once a month, third Wednesday of the month.
And he's looking for a venue to do it at.
He's doing it out of Jacksonville right now at the VFW. Okay. It's called Donnie B's Rolling Comedy Show.
Rolling.
Pop-up comedy show. Yeah. So I guess he could technically do it wherever he wants to do it.
Yeah. That's what I've designed a stage recently for Jason Nelson to where it's able to be folded up, and I'm gonna build it, and it's basically not gonna need much hardware. It'll all stack together and fit together like Legos in a way.
Yeah, that's all you need, really.
Yeah, and one
it's kind of cool to have a stage. What you need is a stage and a spotlight. Keep the rest of the room dark. It focuses the entertainment on you.
Yeah.
I hate doing these rooms that are just like, I did a
TV's
NRA banquet one time, and it was like 400 people, and they're bouncing babies on their lap. I had to be squeaky, super G-rated clean. It sucked. I hated it.
Yeah, I've been working clean. I've been working on a clean set. It's
good to have two sets. Yeah. I had a friend of mine, Kathy Zeman, and she used to have some just awful jokes. She's talking about, I heard sperm is good for your hair, but I just can't fart enough out.
Yeah, I can.
And that was their incest. Mm-hmm. That was, I said, Kathy, I love you. You're funny. Develop two sets. Clean you can do in church, and that one. Yeah. You always write the dirty shit. The dirty shit's easy to write. It's the clean shit that's that's funny and good. Yeah. That's hard to do. Because I did a AA banquet, or it was like their annual spring carnival. And it was a Zoom thing, and I had to be squeaky clean. And and what killed me on that too, I got a lot of the cleaner jokes I have are about either drug abuse or getting drunk. So I had to throw them out, but I still managed to come up with 30 minutes of stuff.
That is funny. There is different levels of clean that you have to be too. When they say clean, it's like, well, what can I talk about? What's clean? Like how clean? And no cussing clean, or like basically kids are gonna be there clean, because adults that want just clean comedy, you can talk about the drugs and the alcoholism.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if there's kids and stuff, you can't be as you can be real in a clean and have a real clean set. It's just they don't want to be hearing the F-bomb and abortion jokes and and fucking and this and that. But you can still bring real topics. Like a lot of George Carlin stuff is clean and could be clean, especially today. If you just took out the cuss words, George Carlin would be probably a clean comic today in today's society, I feel, compared to a lot of us other comics. But there's just different levels, I feel, like clean, because I know guys that say they're clean, and it's like, well, I don't think you would say that at a kid's birthday party or something. If there was a 10-year-old
James Barry he's an African-American comedian. I worked with him one night, and he was the cleanest African-American comic I ever, no cuss word. He could have done his act in that bar or in a church, and it would have been just as good.
And he killed the house.
Damn.
That's.
But what was funny about that show was I was booked at Mason City to do a set up there with me and Mike McGuire and somebody else, and we went up there on Saturday night. Donnie just had me on Friday night, so Kathy Zeman opened for him Saturday night. Well, we had to call her and say, hey, how was it going? She goes, oh, you missed it. He's doing some crowd work. He says, hey, anybody got tattoos? And this gal says, I got one. He goes, what's it of? She goes, a mouse. Let's see it. Hikes her dress up in the middle of Donnie B's showroom. There must have been about 200 or 300 people in there. Hiked her dress up to her chest. Doesn't have any underwear on. All you see is a bald pussy. And the crowd, James was just stunned. His mouth just went open. And he goes, I don't see a mouse. She goes, my pussy ate it. The house went nuts. It was like 15 minutes of straight laughter. Even Donnie B cracked up.
And this was just someone in the crowd?
Someone in the crowd. Wasn't a plan or nothing. It just, this gal just came in there, decided to hike her dress up and show us everything.
Good for her. Good for
We used
her.
to have the strippers from Roxy's when that was going on. They used to come in Hey Guys all the time. Or not Hey Guys, Comedy Etc. all the time.
See, I thought about reaching out to some strip clubs to do comedy shows because I watched a documentary a long time ago about the Lenny Bruce, and that's where he performed a lot, was the jazz clubs and the strip clubs. He would perform and do a lot of shows at the strip
I
club.
think that'd be a hell gig. 'Cause everybody's there to see tits and pussy. Nobody gives a fuck about you or me.
Yeah, but that was a thing back then. You could do your dirty comedy at the strip clubs and stuff. That's the documentary.
That's
I
the
was
only
watching.
place you could do your dirty comedy. See, it was almost better to be an African American comic back in the day because they didn't get a lot of TV exposure.
Yeah, yeah.
And they could do they was free to do whatever they wanted to do. But if you were even George Carlin, who was wanting to get on TV, or whoever, you had to be squeaky clean.
Yeah.
You had to be a totally different, you know.
had to be able to get on the perform on, what was it, the Tonight Show?
Yeah,
Johnny
you had to,
Carson,
or Tonight Show, or you
Yeah.
know, there was other places that had comedians on. There used to be a shitload of variety shows back. Carol Burnett, everybody, Sonny and Cher, Tony Orlando, a bunch of them had. There was the Smothers Brothers, a bunch of them had.
Yeah, it's not as much anymore. Well, I guess it is.
It is more
It's
and
just transitioned into like YouTube and podcast form.
Well, it's all Netflix now.
Yeah, Netflix it seems like has got a fucking special for anybody. I feel a lot of their specials that they're pulling comedians and certain comedians that only really have doing an hour, and really they only have like 30 minutes and they're filling the other 30. Like they're spotting in a couple jokes. I've noticed a lot. That's like, I don't know if they're ready, because when I think of a special, I think of HBO first off, because that's kind of like when you got an HBO special is when you made it. And when I think of that, I think of Delirious. I think of Chappelle at Fairmont, San Francisco, Robin Williams, and or Jamie Foxx, and these big names. When they have a special, it's like a killer from start to finish. It's just kills. And today, it's not.
Well,
so
see, a lot of
much
these
like
guys, you know, they'll say they have HBO credits. And I worked with a guy one night. I forget who he was even opening for, but he was the feature act and he had HBO credits. I said, where's your special on HBO? He goes, well, I wasn't really in a special, but I was in Shawshank Redemption. Oh, really? That's cool. What scene were you in? I was in the shower scene. I was the third dick on the left. His HBO credit. You don't see his face, but you see his dick.
I would walk out there with my dick out then, I guess. He's like, this is what you know me for.
Yeah, whip it out. Oh, that is you.
Yeah. I never forget a dick. Maybe a face.
Kind of goes to the left, got a wart on it. That's you.
So when did how long did you perform before it started clicking? Like, I know I see a lot I know with me, it's still starting to really, I say that to a lot of people, but like you start figuring it out. I feel every comedian, you can even see the comedians when they start figuring it out, from what they just think is funny and to where they learn what is actually funny.
I think I had two levels at it. I think when I started doing animal control and I started, because it was every day you get some wacky ass story. I mean, all them stories I tell are true.
Yeah.
And they happen. I mean, the lion story, like I tell, is actually about 4 different stories. And I combined it into one.
Yeah.
So it makes, so I ain't telling the same story 4 times. You know, 4 times. I kind of just punched up highlights here, because it was actually a guy that tied a lion to the doghouse, and well, it was 2 levels for me, really. I'll get back to it, but there was 2 levels. When I got the Parkinson's, that really opened the door for me, and I really felt like it put me up a level as a comedian.
You were able to just use that as you had.
Yeah, I kind of, because I was always very self-conscious about my handshaking. I was a boxer, you know, backyard fighter, wrestler, you know, football player, and I always had the shakes, you know, and did a lot of manual labor and stuff, you know, chainsawing, lumberjacking. So my hand would shake, and I'm up there, and they're like, "Man, that guy's nervous." And it always made me real self-conscious, and I think it cost me some spots in contests. This guy has no stage presence. He's nervous. He's shaking like a dog shit in a peach pit
yeah.
here.
Now you have, they'd be like, if
And I just kind of use that weakness as kind of a strength and just kind of been playing on it. It's really, I mean, I think I'm a notably better comic. I actually headlined a couple shows at Mason City since I've had it.
Yeah. Well, no, I figured you've been doing headlines on at some of these comedy
That's the
shows.
actual first comedy club I've ever headlined at.
Okay.
That I've had my name in the marquee. That I've headlined a shitload of VFW shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's shows I book myself in. If I book myself, I don't really consider myself a headliner if I book myself in. But when it's somebody else is asking you to do it, that's when you're a headliner. And then when you do it at an actual comedy club, even a small one like that, that's a major win.
Yeah, major milestone. Yeah. But what about when you? So when did you? I'm sure when you were learning the comedy, the process of it, because it was nowadays we all have YouTube videos and there's all these how-tos and there's all these books now. You've got the comedy Bible, you've got Rob Durham's Don't Wear Shorts on Stage.
I think Rob's a valuable source of information.
Oh, yeah. I had him on here, and I'm even thinking about if he gives me a prize. Because he's like, you can send me in your set, and I'll critique it. And I was like, fuck that. I want to pay you to be a mentor. And that's one thing I'm starting to learn, and I think is a big tip that comedians that are getting into it need to learn. Get a skill other than just comedy so you can support yourself, because you can take your... You can buy yourself in. You can buy the anything you need. You want a mentor, you can pay him, because these people aren't going to give their time up for free, or time is valuable. A lot of people don't realize that picking someone's brain, just what I'm doing here with you, could cost money for a lot of people, or somebody that's really business aware would charge for their advice. And I learned that from being into the stocks and everything, because I went to college for economics, and you should always pay someone for
I
their
think
time.
the best way to learn comedy is go to live shows and watch live performances.
Yeah, not what you just see on Netflix, but like actual.
It's a lot different when you see it in a club and you see somebody, how they can handle a rough spot, how they can lose the audience, how they can get them back. You don't learn anything at open mics. You learn how not to be a comedian. I am not doing Hitler jokes. I seen a kid at Donnie B's do Hitler jokes for 5 minutes to crickets. And I went up there and followed him, going, I'm not talking about fucking Hitler. Fucking place went nuts.
Yeah. I think one guy just learned that at the Funny Bone the past week or so. Did you see that?
Well, the sad thing about that guy is he was probably thinking there was actual talent scouts from the Tonight Show in the audience waiting for him. And this guy's just going to be so outrageous, we got to just book him on there.
Yeah, I've had a couple.
I mean, haven't you seen what happened to Kramer? Kramer was a lot more famous than you'll ever hope to be. And he says that word that you're not supposed to say, and
yeah.
Get him in the
Yeah, no, I would have. I'm glad I wasn't there, because I probably would have taken a little bit more offense than actual black people. I grew up calling a black man dad, so I've always. But I wouldn't have been in the comedy club. It wouldn't have gone down. I would be like, don't worry. I just followed him out there and been out in the parking lot. What's up, buddy? Come back in like, I just had to smoke a cigarette real quick, guys. Because that's all that somebody should have did. They shouldn't. No one needs to get wild. They'd be like, okay.
No, you just undress it. You get him up there on stage. You make him the star of all your goat fucking jokes, just to start.
Yeah, I've heard.
I had a comedian. I walked into an open mic in Springfield, and he was doing some of my material word for word. Because I always have a bit about Patrick Brandmeier. I've known the guy for 20 years. And I'll shit on him all the time. If I follow him, I'll shit on him. I know him. Hey, give it up for. I heard there's a Amber Alert on it. I guess Patrick's dating. Give it up for Patrick.
And
and he was using all that shit, and I went, "You motherfucker! Those are my jokes. I didn't give you permission to use my jokes."
Yeah.
And he did a comedy contest at a bar in Granite City, and I got up there and go, Doug's creepier than an abandoned mental hospital. People were standing on their chairs going, fuck yeah, he is. Hey, you know the difference between a toilet brush and Doug's mustache? Fewer germs.
What do you do? So I guess you said you transited from prop comedy. How did you? Was there any difference in writing for that? Like when your writing process, what do you do to write everything? Like how are you writing out? I know that's the biggest thing.
Well, I
in the scene
started.
today.
I kind of transitioned to just telling joke. Whatever jokes came. Dirty shit came to my head, and I think. Then I thought, well, I got this animal control experience. I could start harnessing these stories and turn them on as bits on stage. And that's really turned a major corner and knocked me up a couple notches.
And when you figured out how to basically take a funny something that happened funny in life.
Yeah, just take something, a funny observation in life rather than, some of the earlier stuff I did is basically almost rehacked joke book jokes.
Yeah.
Basically kind of restructured them enough to make a joke out of them. But, I started doing like the lion story. It's 4 different stories combined into one. There was a timber wolf dragging a doghouse in the JB Park. Me and Gary had to go look for the timber wolf dragging the doghouse. You'd see the doghouse going, woo, 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 and you'd see it bouncing down the alley. There he is. And you go out and you'd see it going around the corner, and we had to chase a damn timber wolf tied to a doghouse. But the lion was this guy named Leroy Votaw, who I used to work with at the Post-Dispatch. He got a African lion from his girlfriend who was in the circus, and this thing was like 23 years old, didn't have no teeth, no claws. It was just an old lion from the circus. The lady had it.
Yeah.
It was just like having a big dog.
Yeah.
And they had to feed a trash can full of chicken parts a day. That's how much this motherfucker ate. Well, Leroy didn't want a fucking lion in the house, so he tied it out to the doghouse in the backyard in Lee May and on Weiss. And that thing go, all the lights go on in the fucking neighborhood. Cops are going up and down with searchlights. They go, it sounded as if an African lion. And then they seen the next day, one of the cops are driving by, and there's a bunch of people with their cars, and they're back there with their kids taking pictures with the lion. And they're like, dude, you can't fucking do this.
You can't have a lion. I'm like, oh, it's got no teeth or claws. It's cool.
But there's a lot darker story, and I can't really tell this one. And it's not as fun. I kind of combine that with the Timberwolf one. But then there's another story where this guy bought a lion. He owned the Bikini Club in Millstop, which predates PT's. That's how old this was. It's like back in the 60s. And it was this bar that was out in the middle of nowhere, and they'd have gals in bikinis up there gyrating in a cage. That was kind of before they actually had strip clubs.
Yeah.
And they might have still had, I think they had strip clubs like in downtown St. Louis where the convention center was. That was called, and then there was Gaslight Square. That's all tore down. But anyhow, they had this bikini club was out in the middle of nowhere in Millstadt. And a guy bought an African lion. And you can get them for fucking like $250, but it costs you out the ass to feed the motherfuckers every day.
Yeah.
He was going further and further. He bought every cheap horse, pony. He's buying these broken down race horses for $50 and feeding it to the goddamn lion. Well, every couple of days he's having to go find another horse and to feed this goddamn lion, or he's buying a bunch of chicken backs from there, for so much. He's losing his ass feeding this goddamn. It can cost you a couple $1,000 a year just to feed the motherfucker.
Yeah, if you're not. Yeah, I think everyone learned how much they eat from Joe
Exotic. Yeah.
Joe Exotic. Yeah.
And it's if you do it right, it can be upwards of $10,000. Feed him decent cuts of meat. Well, this guy's feeding him all the goats, sheep, whatever shit he can get his hands on.
Yeah.
And he's bitching about it. The guy goes, "How much you want for it?" "Oh, you can have it." Guy took it to a bar in Caseyville, started feeding the motherfucker shots in the bar, and it took exception. This one guy grabs him by the neck, and he had a big down coat on. And the only thing that saved the guy was he grabbed him by the neck with that down coat on, went through the plate glass window like the guy's a fucking Impala, ran him down the middle of the main street in Caseyville with this guy, help, and the cop shot the fucker. Well, it's obviously not a fun story.
I think it's hilarious. Dumbass is feeding shots to a lion. What's bound to happen? What's the worst? That's
I
probably
seen
not
a
the
guy.
worst
I seen a
that could happen.
motherfucker do ecstasy with a pit bull one night.
I don't know how. Yeah, that's.
It's like it was about this time of year. It's about March, April. I'm working the evening shift on Saturday at the kennel. I get a J1 cop call for intruder. Need to remove the animal. Fuck. they want me to go into a house where there might be a hostile guy and get the fucking pit bull out so they can search it. I like, let that fucker out. I'll catch him down the street. I'm not going in there. And the cop goes, well, this guy was covered with blood walking down Clayton Road, claiming there was African Americans in his house and just babbling. Not except he wasn't saying African Americans. He's babbling all kinds of racial nonsense. Yeah. And we're suspecting drugs. Good. But we don't think there's anybody in there, but we're not 100% sure. But one of our cops went to stick his hand and the dog bit his hand off. I mean, basically crushed the cop's hand. And we need you to get the dog out of there so we can search it. We're pretty sure. I go, okay, well, if you're positive, he goes, we've looked through every window we can see. We don't think there's anybody where the guy's crazy. So I walk in there with that dog and I just look at him and go, sit down, motherfucker. The dog looks at me and shits all over the floor. I threw a leash on him, threw him on the truck. The chief of police with Clayton looks at me and goes, you got the biggest fucking balls I've ever seen on any human.
Yeah, I like my dogs, but I don't be fucking with like mean dogs. My sister got attacked so many times as a kid by dogs. They were calling her Alpo in school.
I about did a spit take on that.
It was fucked up, but I mean, I might have had a hand in that. But
that's kind of like the story with Rowdy Piper. He was wrestling one night, and he's got to wrestle George Bear. He thought it was an Indian wrestler. No, George Bear was actually George the Bear. He gets there, and it's a fucking 800-pound grizzly bear he's got to wrestle. He's like, you guys want me to fucking wrestle a motherfucking bear? He's like, yeah. And one of the guys walks up and slaps him on the ass. Well, the guy slapped him on the ass, had a handful of honey.
We don't have experiences like that anymore out here. I always hear the good stories.
But we had, I've seen pit bulls bite off every part of a human being's body.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend that her father overdosed and in their vacation cabin out in Carolina, and had their dog with them. And by the time they found him, the dog had eaten him. Like,
oh yeah,
it was a pit
Eleanor
bull.
walked in on one. My boss walked in on one like that, where the guy had 3 collies and he died, and they picked him clean. I mean, he looked like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Yeah, that's how this guy was pretty much. Well, by the time they found him, it was pretty gross. And I can only imagine, because I remember hearing all the stories of what happens to bodies. My family owned funeral homes for a long time, morticianary, funeral home and embalming, whatever. We did all that, and they would get the bodies sometimes back in the day when they didn't have like refrigerated trucks. Yeah, and it's all just pretty much liquid by the time they get it. And
oh yeah, can you imagine some of them guys were floating in rivers and stuff,
Yeah.
But this dude was picked clean. And every time you walk back there, look at them dogs, they look and go, no.
Yeah.
It was the creepiest shit ever.
Yeah, dude, the girl I was dating kept the dog. The dog was her dog. She kept the dog, and I was like, you fucking crazy.
Well, I had a guy had one of these attack German shepherds, and it was when he went to Germany and bought, and this thing looked like a wolf. It was easily 70 pounds bigger than your average German shepherd. Coal black, mean as shit. It bit his mother, and then a couple weeks go by, and we didn't file a bad dog report because it was within the family. Whenever it's within the family, we worry more when a dog leaves to go out of the house to bite someone or attacks them, jumps through the window and gets the mailman, or jumps a fence and gets a kid. We worry about, but when it's in the family, we more or less say, hey, just watch it. Just make sure he's okay. After 10 days, we'll come out and we'll see he's alive, and then ends quarantine. It's a lot of the bites are just somebody eating a hot dog and they hand it to the dog and the dog bites it. Mm-hmm. So
it's because they didn't train the dog well enough.
Well, a dog just gets hot dog, my dog, or their food fight or breaking up or something like that. It's accidental dogs will, get carried away and then bite you on the finger.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
But
That's
and
what
then
thing. My
that's
dog.
considered a bite, but you have to watch it for 10 days, make sure the dog's okay, and you just go there and hey, dog's okay, end of story. There's a 10-day window with the rabies quarantine that they got it down with dogs that if a dog has rabies, it will die within 10 days. So that you don't really necessarily have to send the dog off. There's no getting it tested.
Oh, so really, those people in the movie Cujo just needed to chill, like.
They would need to lock Cujo in a cage somewhere when he started exhibiting signs. That's like, hey, we need to put his ass down.
Yeah, they just could have sat in that car though the whole time and not gotten their asses eaten.
Well, it had to suck to be sitting in a car for 7 days, 10 days. But there's a 10-day window. They're
What about
going to
with
exhibit.
humans?
What?
What about with humans?
You can have it up to 7 years in your system.
Oh damn, Megan,
But
you need to get checked
but
for rabies.
it's mostly going to happen within 10 days. But an animal can carry it. It's like HIV. You can have it for a long time, but it's only able to be passed on in the last 10 days when it's in full-blown rabies.
And what exactly is it? What does it do? Is
It's a disease of the brain.
the brain?
It's like a virus that attacks the brain.
Yeah, because I remember Cujo was a household movie, one of those movies I've seen a lot. My dad liked Stephen King stuff, and that was a good movie anyways. But have you ever had to deal with those? A rabid dog like that?
There's never been a rabbit dog in St. Louis County in 40 years.
Really?
Bunch of other rabbit stuff. I was probably setting a record for getting rabbit bats.
Oh, wow.
I bet I don't know how many I got.
What do they do? What does a rabbit bat? They go crazy
Well, they're
too?
just, and it ain't necessarily, look like they have an Alka-Seltzer in their mouth. They're just kind of laying there going, like this, lethargic. My rule, if say this was a basement and this wasn't a living area and I went down here and found a bat and I knock him off the wall, if he fall to the ground, start twitching, I take him and throw him in the truck and take him, test him. Or throw him out, or, get rid of him. But if he was, flying around or active, I'd take and let him go.
Yeah. And
But if it's in the living area where it could bite you in your sleep, because they got such teeny little mouths, you don't know they bit you. And
really?
It can.
They have very sharp teeth. I know that.
Yeah, they can bite you in your sleep and you don't know it. Or you're digging in one I found the Beanie Babies. The lady was going through the Beanie Babies and found one.
Ooh, that's gnarly. That's got to be ooh.
But I went in that house. She had 3,000 coffee mugs. She was this collector of coffee mugs, and every wall in the house had coffee mugs on it. I had to go through each of them coffee mugs with my baton, kicking it. And you usually make a noise. Them things that make a clicking noise, and then I got him. And I found him. I went and left, and she was going through the Beanie Babies. That's when she found him.
Fuck. But that was a fun.
But there was one in Maplewood that the people found one in the house that turned positive. 11 people in the house. Everyone had to have shots.
God damn. They all got
$3,000 of shots. So that's $30,000 worth of shots they had to go through.
Fuck that. Just think if that was the COVID shot. Have you gotten your vaccine?
I'm getting ready to. I'm trying to. I'm on a couple waiting lists. I'm hoping to. And then once I do, I'm going to start doing some shows out of town.
Is that like the rule or something?
Well, I kind of just do it to feel safe. I could feel safer about staying in a hotel and stuff. I did a show in Fort Wayne, but I didn't feel safe staying in a hotel. I didn't know who was coughing on that sheet or whatever that was there before me.
Yeah.
I was at a flea market this morning, and the Six Flags had a flea market. And I'm walking around there, and half the people don't have masks, and then they're walking by and like, dude, if you're coughing, stay the fuck home.
Yeah. There's the one thing I would like to see a study on, like the people that work outdoors in construction and see how many got COVID, because I haven't heard of one person in my field of work get COVID at all. And I'm thinking like since they're out.
I think you're in construction. You're immune to germs. It's kind of like
That,
animal control.
yeah, like I've had to use Porta-Johns my whole life. And,
Exactly.
But also the vitamin D that you get from the sun, being outdoors, is so much, fresh air, outdoors. Vitamin D is a big thing that they say is great to battle for your immune system and everything. And I just haven't met no one in my field that's gotten it. I could be wrong. I'm a moron. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying it's all real. It's just I think there's some things that need to be studied on it as far as certain groups.
I can definitely see that there'd be a correlation between working outside. You're not breathing the same air.
Right.
It went through my office because we're all in there together.
Yeah.
It went swept through my office because it's just probably not much bigger. They got about an area like this. My secretary sits up there. There's my office.
Yeah.
But we're breathing the same air, handing papers back and forth all the time. She got it, I got it. We both was sick.
How bad was it for you?
Terrible.
Really?
Worst ever.
Man,
I had walking pneumonia, and it was worse than that.
Really? I've never had walking pneumonia. I had like strep throat and scarlet fever at the same time. It was pretty gnarly. I've had the flu. That was pretty bad when I was a kid. After I got the flu shot, I got the flu. I've never taken a flu vaccine since. Call me what you want, but that was the worst I ever got sick.
You can get a different version. I think you can get a different version of it than what's in the shot. You're not immune to it, but sometimes you can get another version of it.
Yeah, but
But it fucked with me bad because I'm borderline diabetic and my blood sugar shot up to 280 at one point.
Oh wow, yeah, no. Yeah,
it's normally about 110. I average about 110 every day because I eat like shit sometimes. I always, come home, shove so many Oreos I can shove in my mouth.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, Bukovich was here last night, and he's got the diabetes that he needs like the pump for, I believe.
Yeah, my daughter does. She's type 1.
Yeah.
I guess he's type 1 too.
Yeah, it sounds pretty rough because my stepfather had it, but he's type 2. So he could control it with healthy eating and stuff like that.
I try to eat salads all the time and stuff, but if I eat, I go splurge on a Big Mac and fries, it'll cause it to go up a little bit. But then I just try to hit exercise bike and work out at night, hit the punching bag, stuff like that. Punching bag helps with the Parkinson's too. Yeah. That's why you'll ever see me at a show, I'll be back there shadow boxing, helps with the shaking.
Oh, well, you'd also be like world champion of the shadow boxing league, No one knows where you're going, bro. I think my first time trying it out, you were there. Mason City, the hokey pokey joke I do with the baby's got Parkinson's, and it landed pretty well. But that's a you don't lean into it that much though. Like you have a couple jokes, but you don't like use it as much as you would think. As some comedians I
probably got about a solid 5 minutes of it.
Yeah. I feel I have a solid 5 or 10 minutes of just pothead jokes, but I don't ever do them because I feel it's such a low-hanging fruit for me. It's just like, it's too easy.
Yeah, I mean, there's some jokes I've thrown away. I just don't need them anymore.
Yeah, I can imagine 26 years. Shit, you've probably got some jokes.
Yeah, I mean, I got a solid hour. I'm probably heading towards the second hour now.
Yeah, I would imagine. Have you ever thought about putting an hour, just getting it on?
Yeah, I'm probably going to. Yeah. You get where I can do. What sucked last year, you couldn't do comedy more than 5-10 minutes 10 minutes at the most.
Yeah. The same. Yeah, I just finally got. I record every set I do, and I finally got one that's a good enough crowd, and I did well enough. It was that night at the competition at Word Up. I got a 5-minute a video that I can finally send.
I either get where I have good audio or good video, and it's hard for me to ever get one or the other on the same one. And then somebody's talking or something.
Yeah,
or it's a bad. I get good audio, good video, and then it's a bad set. Bad night.
Yeah, this one I had the audio is not the best, but I was able to go in and clean it up a little bit with the editing software I've got on my phone because I just. Got to get me a new computer. I'd be able to clean it up even better, and I will once I. But I think it's well enough to be able to send to see if I can get some spots at other places. It was damn good, and I've been I've been writing a lot. Got a lot of new stuff that I've been trying, even though those sometimes make me bomb. But I'm one of those ones that I don't mind if if I'm bombing, I'm bombing. I'm gonna try out all the new shit. If it's already going, if the first minute went downhill, the last 4 are going to too. Because at that point, I'm gonna turn
I
over.
miss some of these little rum dum open mics. They were the great place for testing new material.
Yeah.
The comic book store, that was a great one.
Yeah.
Helium Bucket List was a great one.
Yeah, the Helium Bucket List was my first open mic. I did that. That was my first one.
I used to love going there.
About a year and a half ago. Yeah, because it was late. Because I would hit like, what was it?
I could hit another open, hit a show somewhere if I had time. I could squeeze back by there and jump on stage, get a second show in on a weekend.
Yeah. Especially if you were at the Helium already doing a show that night, you could jump over and get on that one too.
I mean, you get lucky enough to get where Aaron Brooks, he got where, he was the darling of comedy, etc. And he was doing, 2 shows Saturday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday.
Nice.
Being MC, and then you can just really spread your wings doing that.
Yeah, that's what I don't like. I'm not the best host, but I've only done it a few times. Mike's at the back doors had me do it for I did out Mo Alexander. I've done some open mics, and I like it.
It's the hardest job.
It is.
It's a lot harder than being a feature.
Yeah, you're just going out there doing your shit then, but
you have to get hit.
It helps you grow the most, though. I feel too.
Yeah.
Like you really, and people don't realize it. They think it feels like something different. It's not like you're going out there just doing your set, and it's not. But it still helps you.
You got to hit the announcements. You got to get the guy's name right.
It forces you to try to learn how to get comfortable with that crowd and just having to react to being in the moment more than anything. Yeah. You can't just go up there and do some rehearsed bullshit. You have to interact.
Yeah, I had
with
one
crowd.
I fucked up on a headliner one time. I kept telling everybody I was opening for James Johan. They go, "You mean Tommy Johnigan?" I go, "No, James Johan." Every time I say that to somebody, they'd say Tommy Johnigan. They go, "No, James Johan." And I get up there, ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Johnigan.
We were trying to get the guys that I was sitting with at the Centralia competition Valentine's Day weekend. We kept telling everyone it was Centreville. It's Centreville. We were hoping we were going to get one of the comedians to go up there and be like, "Oh, Centreville, how's it going?" We couldn't. That was a good night. It was like 150 plus people at that show.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was great. Mary Jane won it. I was happy for her. She definitely earned it. It was one of those.
I was headlining that weekend in Mason City.
Oh, yeah?
First night was awful. We had 4 people in there. Was disinterested. The one guy was pissed off. They canceled the tractor pull. He had to come to a comedy show.
Not the tractor pull.
I mean, he looked like he was. Then the one guy looked like he was working the dart stand at the county fair, and they're all laid off carnies and just weird people.
Yeah, I went when we went there that one time. I went outside and smoked a cigarette and walked down the road a little bit to see what else there was, and not much. There wasn't much there.
We had a no-show one night, and me, Johnny Cavanaugh, and John Means, who lives next door. If you want somebody for a podcast, he'd be one to get for a podcast.
Who's that?
John Means.
John Means.
Dr. Gonzo.
Dr. Gonzo. I like the name. Hunter S. Thomas fan, I guess.
He has worked with Robin Williams, Bill Cosby, Dangerfield, Jefferson. He's got like a list of anybody that was a big band in the 70s, from Fleetwood Mac, Blue Oyster Cult, you name it. He's open for him.
Fleetwood Oyster.
He was actually touring with Joe Walsh and Huey Lewis and the News, and he started out as a guitar comic, and they found out, well, hey, we can get this guy for half of, fourth of what we would pay to have an opening band, and plus we ain't got to have all the roadies and shit to set the stuff up. It just walk him out there at the microphone. We ain't got to, it's going to save us a bunch of money, and that's how he got to be opening for a bunch of these bands, just being a guitar comic.
How do you spell his name?
Dr. Gonzo.
Oh, that's Dr. Gonzo, huh?
Yeah, John Means. He's on my Facebook. Kyle and they did him and Josh did a podcast with him. I definitely check it out.
Yeah, no, I like Kyle Fields and his podcast. He does a lot of sketch stuff. I've been working on sketch stuff. I just haven't. I want to get a better camera system set up and like a green screen and all that. I always end up doing too much when I go in. When I get into something, it's got to be the best. But yeah, I got to force myself not to keep spending money on the podcast stuff. I got enough to make it work now until if it does get popular, like I'm getting a few thousand views a week, good weeks. With some of the short clip videos, I've gotten up to like 10 to 19,000 like people that have viewed it, not watched the whole episode, but watched like 30-second clips that I pull from it and stuff like that. So, and then my watch hours, that's what it's all about. To get monetized on YouTube, you got to have, I think it's 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours within a year. And once you can get up to that many subscribers and then 4,000 watch hours, and I'm up to like, I started in January, I'm up to like 400 watch hours. So it's a little bit of a ways to go, but you can see it picking up more and more. The more I put out, the more it like, more subscribers. I went.
Yeah, just throw it against the wall, see what sticks. You know,
I get to have a good time though. See, I get to meet people, and actually you don't get to sit down with at a show, because the comedians either sitting there working on thinking about their set, or getting ready to go on stage, or you just went on stage, or I just went on stage, and it's hard to get to know anybody. Further.
Gonzo's an amazing comic to sit and talk to.
Yeah, I would. And
Johnny Kavanaugh, which you know him from Backdoor. Mm-hmm. Johnny was the headliner, and I was the feature act. And 4 kids showed up that were underage and wouldn't be drinking. Chris went up to him and said, "Guys, there was like anytime there's a basketball tournament in town, it kills the show." Yeah. So you drive in, you see that high school's full of cars, like, oh shit, nobody's coming to the comedy show. Mm-hmm. So there's like 4 kids that couldn't drink, and Chris just went and said, "Hey, here's tickets, come back another time." So me, Chris, and Gonzo and Johnny sat around, got drunk the rest of the night, and the stories they could tell was just amazing. Even Chris has got a lot of stories. He was a road comic too.
He's the one that runs the whole Masons. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's a nice guy. He was a real nice guy.
He's probably the nicest comedy club owner out there.
Yeah, he shook my hand, gave me a drink ticket, and that's what I like. That's why I like Backdoor so much, because Mike's there every show. He puts the effort in. You can tell that he's interested in what's going on. He's just a nice guy, and he's part of it. I've never once met I've been trying to find out who owns the Funny Bone, because now that I've learned that it's a personal owned thing, and I can't find it anywhere, because I would like to have him on, because Nick Kuvar told me a story that one time the owner of the place came up to him while they were sitting at the bar and asked him for something, or said, "Could you hand me that?" And Nick Kuvar didn't know who he was talking to and didn't respond, and he said, "Oh great, another fucking comic that doesn't like me." And like, I don't think that's true, that many of us even know who the fuck he is, let alone have an opinion on
I've
not liking him.
I've been doing it a long time. I never seen the guy.
Exactly. So I've tried to reach out and find out who it is. I've reached out to Sean O'Brien and Scott James. I was hoping to get one of them on here to be able to give me the lowdown on who it is, who they are. But because I'd like to get them on here. That's one thing I'm interested in, is the business owning end of the whole thing. That's why I had Mike Tobin on.
Take this on the road, go up and talk to Donnie B. I'm sure he'd love to talk to you. He's a character.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like he's kind of got that Vegas-y Wayne Newton Schwab to him.
Yeah, I haven't. I've had a couple of people talk about like being portable and going out, and it's kind of hard to. Once you, like right now, I got it to where I can have the audio pretty well, and I feel once you get out of.
Well, once you get better, better at Donnie B would definitely be a good one. He'd love to talk to you too.
Yeah, well, I've seen his post, and because I follow anything that has to do with comedy around here, since I have to have a social media to do comedy pretty much nowadays.
It's the necessarily evil of Facebook that you have to have it to be in comedy.
Yeah, Facebook. I had it for a little while when I was younger, like in my 20s. I got rid of it. I was like, man, this thing is useless for one. It does me no good, and it just makes people mad. It's like, this is really just starting to hit every morning. I used to have it because it was funny shit on there every morning. Like, you get on, I'll take my morning deuce, and you could get a good laugh from some stupid video or something, and then it just became just like that wasn't enough for the algorithm, so they started pushing anything that, because of course we respond and stay active on there when it pisses us off instead of makes us happy. If it makes us happy, they
Oh
don't
yeah,
care as
I
much.
have. I've had to deprogram a few people. Some of the stuff they was putting up there, it's like, dude, that's not real.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that, and it's just it seems like it was making me mad, like stupid stuff I'd see, and then I was like seeing stupid posts by people and calling them out, and then not even paying attention. Oh, that's my grandma or something like that. It's like, you can't call out your grandma, so you have some respect. So I just got rid of the whole thing for a long time, and then Mike Tobin had to have it for sign up at his place, and I was like, motherfucker, I don't. So I signed up, and then another comedian's like, "You don't have a Facebook or any social media? How the fuck are you gonna be a comedian?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess."
I got Twitter and Instagram, and I post a few things on Instagram. I hardly ever seem like I post something on Twitter. Everybody ignores it. You know, I just
Yeah, I don't.
I feel like I'm talking to myself. You know,
I have a Twitter, but I don't have any. I don't think I have any followers. I don't use it because I don't get it. Like, what's it for? It just seems to me a bunch of young kids that think they have an opinion. Their opinion matters.
Everybody's like assholes.
Something.
Everybody's
It's like everyone
Twitter's like assholes. Everybody's got one. They all stink. You know?
It's just, I've never seen anything. It's just, I think people putting their thoughts, and I could give a fuck about what other people's thoughts are. I have plenty of my own thoughts. Like,
the only thing I really follow on Twitter is The Onion, and they have some just wonderful. They crack me up. Some of the stuff they had, like LeBron. They had an article, LeBron James helping Bugs Bunny get over drugs.
See, yeah, that kind of stuff I would get into. It's just the opinions on.
Well, I like following somebody who has some funny opinions or funny, like Stan Hope or.
I
somebody
can see
like that. They're worth following. Kim Coates off of Sons of Anarchy. He's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but if I learned if I follow a comedian, then I'm gonna just get pissed off because they always a lot of comedians use that as working on material, working something out, testing something to see if it's even worth something, and I'm just gonna be one of those. Fuck you! I wish I thought of that. Like. And
that's when you know a joke's good is when somebody does something
joke.
Like, fuck, I wish I thought of that.
Yeah. Mike Ratcliffe always tells me that about my Jehovah Witness joke because he has a Jehovah Witness joke, and then I did the one the knock knock joke that I do with Jehovah's Witness, and his brother was like, "That's my favorite Jehovah's Witness joke I've ever heard," and it pissed Mike Ratcliffe off. He's like, "You motherfucker, my brother." I was like, that really makes me feel. That was my first real compliment on a joke. That and Lisa gave me said that I had one of her favorite jokes I told was my impeachment joke about it being the worst thing that could happen to a president. But I disagree. I think JFK would too. And so, but that made me. That was when I those little compliments, and I think the more experienced comedians out there need to give the little guys some compliments when they do stuff that's good. Shit.
I tell you what, it was it's really done me good and kept me at it when you hear somebody that's a professional say, hey, you were pretty good, like Roy Wood or somebody like that.
Hey, when Kyle Fields did it to me, he's the one that kept me going. Damn, where are these these ladybugs are all over.
I got them stink bugs in my house. I found out how you get rid of them stink bugs is you put tape around you get like that fly tape that you put on the window. It's like a 12 inch by 4 inch piece of tape that you stick on a window. Where you stick that in inside a lampshade. When you leave that light on at the night, they all come to that. I had about 50 of them stuck on there.
Holy shit! Yeah, no, I've
the old lady's getting bombed by them. She's laying there on the couch all the time. She's getting bombed by them.
Oh man, where do you live? Troy, that's right. Is that kind of a country area out there?
It used to be. I used to have corn for friends when I was a kid.
Oh,
There was nothing out there. Now there's encroaching houses on it, and they got like a subdivision building around me. It's like, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's almost too many people. I like it out here where you got nothing.
Yeah, see, I was living in the city, and then we were living in Valley Park, and I was just like, we both decided we didn't want to be close to neighbors no more. Nothing against my neighbors that were in Valley Park. It's just they were in your business all the time. Like, you couldn't go out and just have a, sit outside and enjoy, maybe do some grilling and have dinner without the neighbors
I got
talking
one
to
lady where there's a creek between me and my other neighbor and the other neighbors, and I got one lady that's right next to me, and I got like a deep 3-acre lot. Part of it's underwater, but the ones on the other side of the lake, they all got money. You can spot the Hoosier in my neighborhood.
Yep. I've got one problem with the neighbor here. Believe it or not, because I Airbnb'd my house. I set all this up, got this all set up at one time where me and my old lady would stay down here, and we just see, we threw it out there, threw it at the wall to see what would stick. And we were actually getting some guests that came here. We were able to pay our mortgage with it. It was like supplementing some income. The neighbors come at me. This lady come down here, texting us. You didn't ask and get it approved with the neighborhood if you could Airbnb. I was like, first off, who the fuck do you think you are telling me what I need to do with my own property?
Well, it's kind of
there's no HOA here.
It's kind of unincorporated. That's why I like living where I do. It's not in town. I can see that if you're in town. I have that issue through my job where we have to get on people for having Airbnbs. You have to be okay with the neighbors having, because people will get it and throw big parties.
Mm-hmm. Well, the
people are out there grabbing their bitches are out there grabbing each other's hair, smacking each other. You leave my boyfriend alone, you motherfucker.
Well, you can actually. We had it set up to where you can set an age limit, and you are allowed to look into the profile of the people that. And we only used verified people. We usually had older couples that were out here for like a wine thing or going to Six Flags, or grandparents that were out here to visit their family. That's all we would allow. We allowed one 20-year-old girl, and she had friends come with her, and she didn't put it on there because each guest cost more money. And they knew they weren't allowed down here. They tried opening up the basement door and stuff, and that was like, that's not allowed. There's all these rules that you put into place, and if they break them, and they broke them, and that's when we changed everything. We're like, don't even use. Why even risk having to worry about there being a party or something? Have only fucking 30-year-old, 40-year-old couples that come here to stay. And there's enough. Yeah,
we kind of go through that with my job. There was one house where they had it, and it was it was off in the distance, kind of sits it off the road, and it didn't bother anybody. But then they had one that was in a subdivision where the houses are like, 10 foot apart, probably 12 foot apart at the most. And they're out there, having this big party with 300 people, and it's got cars all up and down the street, and they're out there hooting and hollering and cussing and blasting music. It's like,
yeah. And the thing was that we were here most of the time. We never went out of town when we had guests. We would always we would stay down here. We go to work, maybe go out to dinner, and then we came back home to here and stayed in the basement. It was only the upstairs that they were allowed to use, and so we weren't allowed no party, even if it started off that way, would not have allowed it. And we would have shut that shit down real quick. So that's why it pissed me off so bad with the neighbors trying to, like, first off, it's none of their business what I do with my house. I live in the middle of 10 acres for one. I got my own. It's my property. You shouldn't know what I've got going on in my house or up here.
I can see it in the city. I mean,
in the city, absolutely.
That's what I do for a living, is get on people for having, keeping their property up. But whatever you do affects the neighbor. If you have a house with the paint peeling off, broken window,
absolutely, yeah,
it's going to affect the value of the house next door to you. They can't sell their house because people are going to look, I ain't living next to that motherfucker.
I can't even see my house from the road here. You can't see my house unless you come up.
I thought it was the other one, the A-frame, when I pulled up, and then I seen the numbers out here.
Yeah, I'm this one. But yeah, you can't even you can't see this house even, like, to try to, like, they wouldn't know if I was running electrical and building a whole addition onto here. No one should know, because you can't see my house. You can't see on here what I'm doing, and if you can, that means they're trespassing.
Well, see, that's why I like living where I do. I can have my pigs and stuff. Man, I ain't got a blade of grass in the backyard.
Yeah, yeah. And I understand living in a neighborhood. And like if it was at the beginning of the street down here, Moss Hollow, where they've got the brand new neighborhoods and the houses, I even helped build a couple of them, but they're the typical suburb. They have their own little neighborhood HOA and all that stuff. I get that. Yeah, you're going to have to live by some standards if you want to live in that kind of. But I moved out here on a dirt road. There is no HOA. There is no contract with nobody. I live in Jefferson
Yeah, they're trying
County.
to get me to sign they have the guy that built the subdivision in back of me built the dam. He did a shitty job of, and they wanted me to kick in for their dam. It's like I didn't see any of you motherfuckers when my dad was alive here come over and help him, and I struggled like a son of a bitch with him because I was the only kid, and they were both in like a race to see who died in 5 years.
Yeah.
And it fucked with me doing comedy too, because I'd be be on the list at the Funny Bone. I'd have to drop off the list and go to the hospital and be set with them all evening. And one gets sick, then that one kind of stabilizes, and you think hey, we got everything going. Then the other one would get sick. Then they both get sick at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to. They tried to enforce an HOA down here after we moved in because they wanted we invited them to a big party. We just got married and we were like and we just moved in here, so we invited all of them for not a big party but a get together. We had barbecued, we had food, and we had I don't have much family and friends, so there wasn't many people here, and we invited all of them so we could meet them. They ignored us completely. They came to us and sent a letter wanting money for the road dues. And they wanted to do some shit to the road. And I was like, they told me their plans. And I was like, hold on. They just wanted to add some rock the way they wanted to do it and wash away. And that's what I did for a long time was grading roads, fucking hardscape. I ran a whole company, hardscape company. I was like, all right, well, what you guys are talking about doing isn't going to work, and nothing's going to work on this road if you don't dig up these two houses. There's a house back here and a house back here, and they're both on hills. The whole property is. And they both funnel in and come down to their driveways. Their driveway's there and the other driveway's right there. They have no ditch right there for that street. So when it rains, all the water comes down from their property.
This guy next door, his yard or his driveway looks like the Oregon Trail going up there. I thought that was your house. I thought, fuck, I'm going to walk up there. I ain't driving up there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, that they have to have 4-wheel drive to get up there. So that's, no.
Yeah, it ain't going to happen in my Mazda.
Yeah, so I told him, I was like, look, and why are you spending so much money hiring these people? They had a guy that was charging like $140 an hour for bobcat work. And so I was like, we can rent one of those for a day and I can do all that work. I was like, and I got a guy that can do the rock. We'll drop off all the rock. I was like, but why don't we spend the money on getting a culvert pipe in here so where the water all comes down to this Y and it washes onto the street and then washes all the gravel off the road. Like we put a culvert pipe in there and feed it into one of these ditches that are on the other side of right on the other side. And they were like, they just didn't. I was like, I even have a culvert pipe and an old fucking part of the driveway. They were going to build another section of the driveway in here to this property, and they got a culvert pipe. I was like, well, we can pull that out if we rent a bobcat. They just didn't want to do it. They didn't want to listen. They're like, oh, well, we understand you haven't been here long. You don't know what's going on. I was like, it's nothing with me being here long. I'm looking at the problem. Look at the pictures I took, because I took pictures of all the water flow because it rained real bad one night and then froze. So you could follow the water trail, and I followed it all the way there. I was like, look, this is where our problem's coming from. You can see where the main erosion starts, because it'd get bad. It'd be like big, huge, like real bad. And so I told him, I was like, this is how it's got to be fixed. There's no way.
I have people get mad at me when they live at the bottom of the hill and there's water running down onto their property. It's like, that house is up on top of the hill. Where's that water going to go?
Yeah. Well, all the water flows perfectly on down the road and everything fine. If it wasn't for that, if they would just feed the water that's coming out of their ditches that comes down their driveways, they have these two ditches, but they don't. It just stops. It comes into a Y and stops right there at the road, and then it just all floods. When it goes over the road, and it just creates all this wash away, and it washes away.
I used to have a lot of problems where they have a subdivision and they build a house here. Well, they come in with a new house and build it, and then they build it above everybody else. Well, that causes all the drainage fucking
Yep.
issues.
Yep. And all the sediment that comes off of from a new build that will drain into there and clog up that. Yeah, that's what I've seen that when I was working before. It'll fuck up a neighborhood. Actually, it was in Eureka.
Well, last year, we was getting these 7-inch rains and stuff pretty commonly.
Yeah, the weather we've had recently has been ridiculous. All that snow with them Arctic weather. That's like single digits. Fuck that.
I remember in '82, I had a house party for my buddy Danny, and I ended up with 10 people stuck over. And then my mom and dad was there, and we was down in the basement partying. I was of age, so we went and got a bunch of beer, and we were down there drinking. Somebody went to leave, and they couldn't open the fucking door.
Yeah.
The snow was up to the damn doorknob. That's how bad. And it got so bad that where Route 40 is, like where I live, it was one lane. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it got pretty bad down here, and I couldn't. My driveway is just so bad. Like shoveling it, I don't even shovel it. I built this big piece of wood, like with 2x4s and like a 7-foot long piece of plywood. And I get to the top of the driveway and I get going real good. Just fucking, and I plow. I do that driveway in about an hour with that technique. But shoveling it by hand with that much snow we got, it was impossible. Like I just had to wait for it. And I was stuck up here because I didn't know it was gonna snow that bad. I was like, I get it. I got snow. I bought salt and everything. I was out of work for a week. Like that. Well, half of it was because we just couldn't get to work. He wasn't gonna have us come in. When I first moved out here to St. Louis, I lived here when I was a kid with my mom for a little while, and moved back home to the beach. When I came back, I got a job as a landscape company that does plowing and stuff. And when I got the job in the winter, well, my first shift, I came in and they talked about we were plowing snow, and they were like, "Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be like a 36-hour long or a 30-hour long storm," and I thought they were just fucking with me. No, I was in that truck plowing snow for 36 hours.
And we had a couple of my boss was plowing the streets where I work at for 24 hours straight.
Yeah, it was rough, and I like the building off 44 called Merritt's. It's a big, huge building. It's on both sides. They got like marble, granite, like fucking curbing and shit. So they pay top dollar. They paid $4 million just for that storm.
Well, yeah, my wife works for a nursing home. They paid $5,000 to clean that parking lot. Shit, I'll get out there with a shovel for $5,000.
$5,000, yeah, that's when it's. But they were trying to pay just normal wage hours. I was pissed after I learned that. Yeah, I could have just gotten a job with. I could have went on Craigslist and there was guys paying $25 an hour for shovelers. I was making 10 doing it, fucking that. Which I don't know how I was making money like that. And I was living with my mom still. I moved back. I got into some trouble. Got out of jail. I was like, not going to go back to jail. Going back home. Got out of trouble because I would have stayed there and got into a lot of trouble. But anyway, enough about that. So, 26 years you've performed with Cedric the Entertainer and a bunch of other big names. What's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten from one of them? From anybody that you looked
Chili
up to?
Chalice. He was a writer for Jay Leno. And he said, be comfortable with the silence. I think that is the most valuable piece of advice you could give any comic starting out. And I've even told comics that. Yeah,
that is a good one because you got to be able to use that. I learned you see it with newer comics that speed through their set, and because people are quiet, they don't laugh. They're expecting laughter, and it makes them go through. But
it's sometimes I notice that if I'll throw my Colonel Sanders joke out there and it falls flat, I thought I'm gonna have a bad set. It's like you throw a rock across a pond. If it goes down, you want it to skip across the pond. And if your first one kind of sinks, it's like,
you use your one of your most confident jokes right up front that you know is funny. It's your 100% is funny, and it falls. Yeah, usually like that's how it was at El Fure the other night. I went there and I tried a bunch of new stuff, but they didn't get nothing. I was like, let me see now, because I know I did a joke that married for anal, how I got married, blah blah blah. Now I'm stuck with a wife and a strap on. That hits. I always get a laugh out of that, especially with that crowd. didn't get nothing. I was like, oh, it's just these people just don't want to be at a comedy show tonight.
Well, I had one time where the crowd wasn't laughing. Half the crowd wasn't, or 3/4 of the crowd wasn't laughing, but this couple tables were just dying.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure it out. Turned to find out the people that weren't laughing were exchange students from Argentina.
Oh, well,
They were here for some concert or some conference or something. And none of them spoke English. They're just kind of sitting there.
Yeah. So comfortable with the silence. And when did you meet that guy?
He was at Comedy Etc. in Fairview Heights.
What is Fairview Heights doing nowadays in comedy?
Nothing.
Nothing. What about when COVID opens back up? Is there a club there?
Nothing.
Nothing. You think, are you going to be the guy that takes it over, opens it up?
I'm hoping Gary and Vince Opper. I'm hoping they can do something. They seem to be the two that's wanting to. They push a lot of the bar shows and stuff over there.
I did a show with Vince Opper. I think I've done 2 of them. Well, Elijah.
I'm not going to name names, but I mean, some people just don't have it in them to be a club owner.
Yeah.
Just don't have that face how to interact with people.
Yes, there is being an owner. That's why I had Mike on. I asked him, I'd grilled him. I started off with like, what did your parents do? How do you know how to do this? Like, cause he's pretty good with being an owner from what I've learned from him as far as building companies and selling them for profit. And this isn't one of those companies to him. This is something that's personal.
Well, I think you got to be nice to people and make it a good experience. You don't want them to. Bruce would try to get people in there, and they'd be drinking. We got to get out of here. It's 11 o'clock. We got to get out of here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's like, dude, you got people in here partying. Why do you want them to leave?
Yeah, you don't want your money to leave.
And he had his little idiosyncrasies where he had to do certain things. He couldn't move the chairs, and people want to move the chairs to sit next to their friends and kind of reconfigure everything. And it would drive him nuts. He was anal retentive, where he had to have all those chairs like they were.
Oh yeah, try to control too much of the room. Huh?
And it just would make people mad.
Yeah, no, yeah, you being a likable guy being a likable person is key to being a business owner. If most people don't like you, you got resting bitch face all the time.
Yeah.
That's a big issue with me. I've had I forget who it was that told me, they're like, you don't seem like you're very approachable. It's like, yeah, why? And they're like, you just don't look like you're very happy. You seem mad. Or I was like, I'm not mad. I guess I got resting bitch face. I don't know. But so where can these people find you on the social medias? Do you have you said you
Joe the Animal? I got my comedy page, and then I kind of use that to post where I'm going to be at.
On Facebook.
Then I got Joe the Animal on Facebook. I kind of just use the animal. I don't use my last name because when I was looking for a job, I didn't want anybody to see I was a comedian.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely with the kind of things that you were, being. I've had a few guys on here that yeah, they're had to clean up, like Rob Durham being a school teacher. I wasn't gonna.
Well, see, I got I never got the name Animal from being a comedian.
Yeah.
It's from a lot of people think they frown at being having a stage nickname, like Superfly or whatever.
Yeah.
They kind of frown at that, but my nickname came from boxing.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you get it at boxing? I thought it would be from you being the dog catcher.
No, I got into it from boxing.
Oh, okay. How long did you box? My father was a boxer.
Well, competitively about 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was just, you'd always get in shape. It'd be like getting ready to go to an open mic or a comedy show, and you show up and they go, oh, you can't go on stage for 2 years. Then I put a guy in the hospital, and then nobody wanted to fight me. Unless I'd had to go out of town to get somebody to fight me.
Yeah.
I came this close to going to Colorado Springs in 1982 or 84. 84 is when Tyson was out there.
Oh yeah, I was about to say that was Tyson.
I would have got fucking killed.
Yeah, yeah. Now Tyson's Was
They
it
was
an animal?
wanting
Who was when
they
you-
was wanting people out there, and it's like I thought, yeah, they want me, and it wasn't because they thought I was good. They wanted me for
wanted
raw
someone-
meat to go
yeah.
out there and feed to Tyson.
Yeah, that would have been a brutal.
And I'd have been dumb enough to get in the ring with his ass.
Hey, you got more balls than me. I've watched. That's another thing that I grew up watching was boxing, especially Tyson, Holyfield, Lennox Lewis. You know, before that, Ali was one of my big time. Like, I did a big, huge autobiography on him, kind of where you had to dress up like him. I didn't do blackface though. I just wore a robe and some boxing gloves, and had to like tell his whole story. But Joe Lewis. You know, there was boxing was a big.
You know how Joe Lewis became a boxer?
Huh.
He was taking his mom made him take violin lessons. Some guy started calling him a sissy. He took the violin and busted over the guy's head and went to the boxing gym and never looked back.
There's always a good story like Muhammad Ali's. Do you know his?
Yeah, he got his bike stolen.
Yeah, got his bike stolen. And he went into some place raging, and the guy pointed him into boxing. So that's
I tell you what, you want to see a great fight. It's so old it was filmed by Thomas Edison. Jack Johnson, he's the first
Jack Johnson and the black. Yeah, that was a big, huge
He's
controversy.
the first black guy to win the heavyweight championship.
And it was banned for a long time.
He beat the shit out of all like 5 former champions, and even a guy was the middleweight champion. Stanley Ketchel stood up and had an exhibition against him. They threw Corbett, Hart. They threw about 4 or 5 ex-champions against him, and he whipped the shit out of all of them. So they eventually throw this middleweight champion up there against him. And it's supposed to be an exhibition, you know, just go out there and poke at each other. Well, he throws a smoker and puts Johnson on his ass. And this film is so old, it's all jerky and black and white. And, you know, it's Thomas Edison fucking filmed it. It's great. Look it up on the internet. It's
Oh, no, I just watched a documentary about it. You know, there's a lot of people that died from that film because it caused a lot of riots and a lot of the whole black man finally, they allowed, they used to not, there was 2 leagues in a way. There was the African American League.
Jack Dempsey drew the color line after that, and he would not fight a black fight. He did earlier on in his career.
Yeah, the color line. Yeah, that's what they were calling it.
But they after that till Joe Lewis came in, and Jack Johnson, this Ketchel floored him, and you can see him. He looks at him and goes, "You motherfucker." And he gets up and he hits Ketchel so hard the guy goes airborne like this, where he's like 6 foot off the ground with his feet straight out in the air. And he gets to the corner, you see him going, knock the guy's front teeth out, and they stuck in the glove.
Oh, boy, yeah. Yeah, the boxing, that's what I've always, nowadays, what was great about boxing back in the day and old boxing is they were out to box. It wasn't so much a strategy game as you see Mayweather. Like, Mayweather's going to go down as one of the greatest. I mean, he is with his wins and his boxing game, playing.
He might be the greatest defensive.
Yeah, but
he's boring.
Yeah, exactly. He's boring, but he knows how to win when it comes to that. But that's what I mean by old school boxing. They went out there and they wanted to see who could take the harder hit and who could throw the hardest hit. And yeah, you don't get the Lennox Lewis and Holyfields and Ken Nortons and none of that no more.
Joe Lewis fought Max Schmeling, and Max Schmeling saw a hole and he knocked him down and won the title. And then something happened where Schmeling got beat by Sharkey or something with a low blow. And he somehow blah, blah, blah. Well, anyhow, Joe Lewis polished off. I think maybe Braddock ended up winning the title or something. And then Joe Lewis knocked him out. And then he had a rematch against Schmeling. And in the rematch, he hit Schmeling so hard in the ribs that his ribs fractured and punctured his kidney. Could you imagine getting hit that goddamn hard?
That's kind of like how Tyson, they said that Tyson was hitting people so hard they were like breaking bones in people's, like fracturing their arms because when they would block, he was hitting them so hard even when they were blocking it would hit their arms and they'd have like fractures after the fight.
George Foreman would have been one that would have terrified me to fight.
Yeah, I seen the
even
picture
old
of him picking up Muhammad Ali up off the ground.
Yeah, I mean, he fought Ken Norton. I had Ken Norton stand up in front of me at some fights one time, and that man is a giant.
Oh, yeah.
And Ken Norton, our foreman, hit him so hard he went flying through the air.
Yeah.
To hit a man that big and send him flying, that's some power.
Yeah, he doesn't look, when it's on TV, they don't look as big as they are. And I guess Mike Tyson doesn't look, he looks smaller from what I hear. He's not, a lot of people expected him to be so much bigger, but
he's not tall.
Yeah, he's short.
He's kind of short,
yeah.
kind of like built like me.
Yeah.
I'm probably about the same size as Tyson.
So what were you, what weight were you?
I was middleweight or light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight, that's a good one. That's a good balance. I always enjoyed a good medium featherweights and stuff. They throw in them fucking the fucking speed, like a speed bag.
Oh man, there were some great, when I was in the
Bantam
70s,
and feathers.
70s, we had some of the great ones. Mayweather's I think it was his dad or uncle went up against this guy named Rocky Lockridge. And Rocky fought everybody. And he was a tough he was just a hard-boiled, tough son of a bitch. And Mayweather got out there and got in his face, had his sunglasses on, made this big, long ring entrance. And they went around. Rocky went out there, one punch, boom, knocked him cold.
Yeah, I wish boxing was I wish it was just still as popular. I feel UFC is really taken over.
Yeah, there's still some good fights out there. I seen a welterweight kid was 6'8" the other night. 147 pounds, 6'8".
Was he just skin and bones?
If this kid puts on a little more toughness, he'd be like Thomas Hearns. He'll be unstoppable. He was taller than Thomas
6'8".
Hearns.
What's his reach?
He could hit you across the room. The guy was fighting. Just fuck this shit.
That's one of those ones you just got to get inside and stay inside, probably. Yeah,
I seen this kid named Caleb Plant. He's from Tennessee, and he fought this guy from Germany, and he's one of the fastest white guys I've ever seen fight.
Yeah,
and he's a super middleweight, and this German dude threw a whole shitload, about 10 punches, missed every fucking shot. Caleb just looked at him, shook his head, and blew him a kiss, and then beat the snot out of the guy.
Footwork, yeah, I like a good. Yeah,
he ain't got no power, but he's kind of like Mayweather in that respect. Where he's got great defense and speedy hands.
Mm-hmm. Can make you miss and can make you throw yourself out, and points. They play by points is what I've always called. They're not worried about knocking you out. They're not worried about beating your ass. They're just worried about beating you on the scoreboard, on the points, on the cards.
I think the best fighter I ever seen of my whole time was Duran.
Okay.
I think he was the best.
Yeah.
And even when he fought Leonard, he was kind of over the hill.
What do you think about these boxers coming out to do? Like, did you watch the most recent Mike Tyson fight?
I caught glimpses of it. I didn't pay for having. I was booked in a show. Luckily that night, I thought I was either gonna suck, but it was basically an exhibition match.
Yeah. But how do you feel about it? Would you jump back in the ring if you?
I've thought about it.
Start training again, because it changes you. You become a different person when you're training to fight.
If I didn't have my neck issue, I would definitely.
Yeah.
I had to have my neck fused. They had to cut my neck open and go through here and fuse my neck together with a couple of vertebrae. That's why I can't turn my head.
Oh, damn.
And then I got this shoulder repaired and this shoulder repaired.
Man, you would think you were still boxing or rolling around on the mats.
Well, I feel better. I feel better than I've ever felt in a long time, and it's really, and I've kind of got off the Parkinson's medicine where it ain't making me sleepy, so I feel better than I have in a long time.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I had these shoulder issues, I wasn't sleeping.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. The sleeping, that's what drives me. Like when I hurt my
back.
It
ain't when I can fall asleep in a chair, but if I go to lay in the bed, it'll wake me up about 3 hours later, and I can't go back to sleep.
Oh yeah, that's what I hate about hurting my back at work or something. Like when we're building a house, it's the walls. When I'm building walls, because you lay them all they're all on the ground, and you're bent over, banging them all together, building them, and then you stand them up. So most of for that 8-hour shift, you're pretty much bent over building walls the whole time, and they don't play that knee carpenter shit. You can't be on your knees doing it. You just need to stand up and bend over and build it. And my back could be worn out, and sometimes you can feel it, especially when I was first started. I got thrown on a crew that's what we just did. Like, they get the foundation and the floor on, and that crew would go and do another floor and foundation, and we come in and build all the walls and build the trusses, and another crew would come in and set the
As
trusses.
you start hitting towards 40, my advice to you is take the property maintenance test and become an inspector.
I had a company wanting me to do property maintenance. When COVID hit, I lost my job because the guy went out of business. But I filled out a bunch of applications to property management, and I got one for down there in South County. It was where their main building is, but they wanted me to have my own truck, and I didn't have my truck. I just got rid of my truck, actually.
Well, I mean, like going in and doing like I do, going and inspecting new and building stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. You're the inspector.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that.
Not necessarily being, you get in them big apartment complex, that can kind of suck.
Yeah.
Because you get people that don't know how to flush their toilet, and they're calling you at 3:00 in the morning. You have to go in and clog their toilet and stuff like that. And then it's running down into the people below them. It can be a real nightmare. But with the property maintenance, you're going out there and telling these guys, hey, you need to put some fire blocking up here.
Yeah.
You got to do this, got to do that. Block the fire, do fire blocking where the penetrations are going through there.
I know all about it. It's just, if you didn't have to do it, it would save me like 2 hours when I frame in basements.
And you see it down in Tennessee when you go down there. They don't have the union carpenters or the property maintenance. They think, oh, we don't need no singing. And you see the corners are all crooked.
Yeah, that's the one thing about having a union out here is that the guys from the union, because I work with a bunch of guys that were union that started their own thing, and they're really proud of their work because we do mansions. We did like Jim Edmonds' house, a bunch of stuff out there in Ladue and Brentwood. Right now I thought it was Wildwood, but it's considered Jefferson County. But this guy, we're building a house. His lake that he built is like 10 acres or some shit. The house overlooks the 10 acres, and it makes it look like a lake when you're standing at the house.
I seen a guy, it was the most vulgar display of wealth the whole time I did it. He built a 4-car garage the size of this house.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was a car collector or something. He had these giant garage. It was 2 levels. Mm-hmm. And I thought, he's a car collector. He's going to put cars in there and jack them up on a thing. No, it was an indoor basketball court. And he could put batting cages. He had kids, and he had kids in sports. So he had indoor volleyball, indoor basketball, indoor batting cage.
Yeah, that must be nice to be able to just train professionally.
And he had a, I think, $400,000 pool.
Yeah.
That's
what we're doing right now.
It had a disappearing edge on the hillside, built-in hot tub.
Yeah, that's the kind of places I build right now. I'm building 18,000 square foot monsters and that's not even the most expensive part of their build.
This one guy, he spent a whole shitload on a pool like that, and it was an outrageous amount of money. And he goes, when I'm doing this, I need a pool house. Yeah. So he threw another $100,000 at it.
Yeah, the guy with the house we're doing right now, he put in a like a $150,000-$200,000 retaining wall. Just like it probably there could have been a lot of other options, but he got the $200,000, the monster blocks too. The monster ones that have to be crazy.
That thing's never coming down.
Yeah, just the house, just the retaining wall is more than my house probably. Well, I got this place right.
Well, I've seen some pool houses that are better than my house.
Yeah. I've the garages, but no, Missouri's bad for that. I've learned Missourians love their big, huge pole barns and stuff to have one 4-wheeler parked in it in a toolbox that's like messy as fuck. And it's like, what do you use this thing for? My 4-wheeler? I was like, you can put like 3 boats in we could build a cool little house in here probably. But that's a way I've learned that a lot of guys get around permitting stuff. They build a pole barn
Yeah, and just do what you want to do.
Yeah,
I
build
mean,
it
I've seen some of
inside.
these pole barns. You about live out in them.
Yeah, that's what these guys are doing. They'll like get a pole barn. They don't get any restrictions, especially construction workers that don't want to deal with. I don't know if the permits cost money or if they just, I don't know why they don't permit it if they know what they're doing. I mean, maybe just don't want to have to deal with it. But they'll build it inside. They'll frame it in, basically. They'll frame it in
Well,
a
I'm
hole.
sure there's a cost factor and stuff too. It ain't cheap to get them permits and stuff.
Yeah. And
That's a big money grab for the.
Yeah, and if you make it livable space, it's probably taxable. That's why
Exactly.
we got a sweet deal on this place because the guy didn't pull it for the basement, and this isn't considered livable space. But it's got the windows. It's got 3 doors to the basement. Got 3.
Yeah, as long as you got access to the outside, you're
Got
cool.
plumbing. Got 2 windows. Got double door, single door, single door. I was like, I know that this is livable space. It's like it's got everything it needs to be to qualify. The only reason I think it is because the couple that we bought it from wasn't planning on selling. They had just built it a few years before. And
Well, they had
I think they got a
one
divorce.
where I worked at. It had a master bedroom upstairs and 2 bedrooms, a master downstairs and 2 bedrooms, and full kitchen downstairs. You could have 2 separate families live there.
Yeah, that's how my aunt's house was when I was growing up. She had like 2 kitchens and
But
stuff.
it's zoned where you can't do that. You
Yeah.
can't rent it out. I guess if you wanted to for like an Airbnb, but it probably that's probably the nicest subdivision in town. They wouldn't let you have one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I understand that. When you have a nice neighborhood and stuff and all of that, and it's really can affect the property value of somebody else's if your place is messed up. I get it. But if I tried to sell this, and I don't know what my neighbor's house right over there, I know what that big A-frame right there looks like, sort of. I know what the front end that I can see in the wintertime when you drive up the road. But other than that, I don't know what any of these neighbors' houses really look like. Maybe the one down when you first come on, you can't see our house. So I don't see what their house looks like on the other side of those woods is not going to affect my property value, I don't feel.
No, I mean it's a nice enough house where I don't think it's going to affect you.
So, yeah, it was, from what I hear, it was like burned down one point and had a lot of issues with just the hill that it's built on, the driveway. There's a lot of weird shit. But this is the newest one, I think. I think this is the newest house that's here. This is only 10 years
Those
old.
are very nice. You have a very nice house here.
Yeah, thank you. She fell in love with it. That little watchtower thing we have it's a nice little touch that the guy could look. I went through the blueprints of it, and this is pretty much just you can find this model online. You can look up what it was. Like this is actually supposed to be the garage down here. It's supposed to have big barn doors and stuff.
Yeah.
But they changed that around, and it didn't have the little round watchtower thing. So
Yeah.
that was a cool little touch. And the guy I guess that we bought it from was a builder, a custom builder. So I think that's what he does too. They build, but we looked them up online, and it looked like they had just gotten divorced. So I think that's what happened. They were planning on staying here and got divorced.
Yeah, that happened in my neighborhood where the guy he bought all the farmland around me and started building, and then he got divorced.
Yeah. Just was like, well, you have to set a divorce with that much money. Could you imagine? Have you ever been divorced or married and divorced?
I came close. I call it 1.5.
1.5.
I almost got married right out of high school. I got a gal pregnant, and family did not want me to be the father.
Yeah. Oh, I've had some scares. I used to tell that to girls when, you'd be messing around with a girl, meet them, and they'd be like, and after you had sex with them, they're like, so, what are we doing? What are we? And it's like, do you want to take me home to your father and introduce us this is the guy you're, I said that to my wife now, and she's like, my dad won't care.
There's a comedian named Kevin Benedik. He met his first girl. Well, it was not his first girl, but he met a girl and took her to an open mic for the first date, and she brought her parents.
Oh.
And he was absolutely filthy. He told a joke that if he was in Walmart and he heard a baby crying, if I want to hear a baby cry, I'd fuck it. In front of her parents he's never met. That's their first impression of they're probably thinking, oh, this guy's like Jerry Seinfeld. Like,
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld met Sam Kinison and did some
Demon.
lines. But right on. So what are your other? Do you have an Instagram?
Yeah, but Joe the Animal Instagram,
All right.
Joe the Animal on Twitter.
Twitter, all of them, huh?
Yeah.
You're there. When's your next show?
I know I got something in Oregon, I think, or Bloomington, up in one of the towns up around Bloomington, the end of the month.
Okay.
Nate might have me doing something Thursday at Backdoor. I think I might be going on Backdoor if I don't go there. I'm doing some show for Nate.
Yeah, I'm at the back door on the 11th, so that'll be a good one.
I'm hoping I can get on there. I told Nate I'd do his, and oh shit, I'm on that one for Backdoor too.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I think I threw my name up there. I don't know if he's picked me yet or not.
Oh yeah. Well,
I haven't seen a list or anything yet, so hopefully.
I signed up first. Like, I don't know. I think I signed. I'm signing up every morning at 8:00 on Monday. That's what I do now that he says it's back on. Because he was confusing about when sign up was. So, I don't know. I get it because I'm already at work on the clock so a lot of comedians can't get on the list. Don't get on the list because they're sleeping in and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and it was hard for me too for a while there. If I work we work scattered. If there's a holiday, we go in later for some stupid reason. Where we're there, we start at 8:30, so I'm driving over the bridge trying to.
Oh yeah, that is yeah. Though there's been some times where I'm up on a roof with a crane setting trusses, and it's like I hear my alarm going off for the sign up, and I'm like, oh shit, how's this gonna work? So, but I really like Backdoor though. I'm glad it's back. I'm glad that it didn't go nowhere, and he's back at it. So. I'll definitely be. Even if I don't make the list, I'm going.
Well, I hope they'd open something in Fairview on the east side. There's a bar in Lebanon that has a showroom. I think would be a great place. You could do like the way Chris does it. I would, get a decent headliner in there once a month or something like that, like Mr. Showtime or something. It's going to draw a crowd. Mm-hmm. You don't have to get number one podcaster in the nation or something, but somebody will draw a big name and just draw from the local guys. Yeah, there's plenty of local. There's so much comedy out there now. That's what Chris is doing. He's essentially pulling from the local talent and then bringing somebody a bigger name like Larry Reeb or Todd Yan in or something like that.
Yeah, that's why.
But he's in a Bob and Tom market where he can pull a lot of them Bob and Tom comics and people know who they are.
Yeah. That's one thing I've been putting together, thinking about putting together a show. I've talked to the venue. I actually used to work with them. It's the Sky Music Lounge. It's out in Wildwood, Manchester, Chesterfield area, like out there off Cares Mill Road. And it's a real nice place. It's about 85 seats. And it's got a little green room for the comedians. In the bar, there's a main bar, and then there's a back bar, and then a little room off of the showroom. So you can have that.
The last show I produced, and it did kind of burn me out on it because I was trying to get a fresh comic in there every month. Yeah. And then I'd do a contest one month, and then one month I'd have somebody headline it, like Brian McDowell or Longhorn or somebody, one of the local semi-good comics. I'd have them come in there. I think I had Bruce headline at one time.
Yeah, there's not a big pool of guys to pull from, but the amount
that you can afford for $100 on a Thursday night. Yeah, I had like $150 to work with. So I'd either do a comedy contest and I'd dole out 75, 50, 25 to people, trying to get keep 25 for myself for my aggravation, then dole the rest out to the other comics.
Yeah, this thing. Well, if I would just sell out this venue, I could make upwards of, $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, depending on what I sold it for. If I did $10 tickets, I could make $850, pay the $300 for the venue, and then have $550.
Well, I think a great way to go too is to get with these VFWs and Elks lodges around. And say, hey, give us $500, you can keep the rest. Yeah, and you'd have $500 to divide between 3 or 4 comedians. Yeah,
and I think I got some guys that would do the show that probably wouldn't be that expensive, but I do want one big headliner, and I just don't know which one to try to get pull it, because if I do a show, it's going to be a regular one, and I figure if you want to make that first one big, so you can get your name. And
Oh, Fryman, he used to do a lot of headlining gigs and stuff. He had a lot of little rooms and stuff, and he'd drink his bar tab for the show. He'd make $750 on a weekend. He'd drink that.
God damn.
He was something else. And we one time I had a call from my animal control boss. She always sent me out to deal with the badasses because I was the badass, and they knew I didn't take shit off nobody, and I wasn't scared of nobody, and I'm somewhat intimidating. She goes, man, we got this guy as an asshole. He was naked, shooting at the neighbor's dog, and went after his dad, and we need you to take a statement from him. So just kind of go out there, calm this guy down, don't take no shit off him. We know you can do it. And I'm expecting the worst human being I ever could imagine. I'm out there in Lee, man. I knock on the door, and it opens the door. It's fucking Fryman. Motherfucker went out and shot the neighbor's dog for going after his dad naked. Goes back in the house, goes to clean the 357 Magnum, and didn't unload it. Shot his hand. He could hold his hand up and you could see daylight.
Oh yeah, 357 gonna put a hole.
It blew. He ended up losing the middle finger, so he had like a Homer Simpson's hand with 3 fingers.
Oh God.
He was a character.
So any other shows? What you got?
I got a bunch of them in these little towns up north, like Oregon.
Okay.
I got a couple other ones here and there.
How are you finding these things?
Just people see me, the guys have seen me at like Mason City and stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I plan on going out there more often. As just sometimes getting off work too.
It's
late.
great to network. Great place to network.
Yeah, that's why me and Nick Kuvar, we all went out there. You were there,
Yeah, Donnie B's too. That's another good one to go to. It's good to network, get to know them comics that are out of town, and a lot of times they book like Tobert and Larry Smith would before the pandemic. They booked rooms. Yeah, Larry booked one in Hannibal, and you have about 250 people there for that one or plus. Yeah, big VFW hall. Oh no, they were fucking eating out of my hand. It was great.
Oh hell yeah! So. Well, keep an eye out on his socials. I'm sure you're going to keep him updated, right?
I'm always the comedy page. I kind of just put I put just my dates and stuff. On the other stuff, you want to see any stupid pictures I post. I try to post as many stupid pictures as I can. I got a bunch of Illinois history, Missouri, retro, St. Louis. Other little pages
Lots of
I run.
Entertaining content.
Yeah, just show all pictures like old St. Louis and humorous stories. I got the one Weird, Strange, Bizarre where I try to find weird stories and post up there.
Yeah, I just did. I was looking at some old historical St. Louis place called the Casa Loma Ballroom. Been around for a long time. I was talking to that venue about shows, but they can hold like 1,000 people. I was like, I don't think I'm ready for that one yet, boss. I was like, I'll reach back out to you later on when if I'm doing successful. But
you'd almost need somebody that was a big podcaster or something to go in that venue like that.
Get Nikki Glazier or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but right on. I appreciate you coming and sharing all of this. Like, a lot of the younger comedians, not younger, but the guys that are just starting. I do get a lot of people that do watch this, and I'm always getting feedback, and they like it when the comedians come on and talk about them, starting off and getting through it the way we have. Like Quentin's got like a good amount of views, and I'm sure I'm gonna be able to get some stuff off of yours. Like I'm sure, because the internet likes old wise guys for some reason. It makes me want to kind of go gray a little bit and be like a silver fox.
That's the only thing I'm holding out hope for. I hope I can be somebody like Joey Diaz that catches on like after 60.
Oh yeah, no, I just watched something about comedians that make it after they were like. It doesn't matter what age you start. Like Louis Black was like 50 or something when he like first really made it big, and all kinds of. Who else is there? There's a handful, because I had that thought. I was like, I'm 31. Maybe I didn't start soon enough. When you look at Ronaldo and shit like that, you see.
Well, when you're young, when I was younger, all I did was jacking off and butt fucking jokes. It was it's getting high. It wasn't ever, I've lived a crazy fucking life doing this animal control, and I got some great fucking stories from it,
Yeah.
just life in general.
Yeah, and that's
Well, I was going to say about, like, I was going to tell you this is a good one, too, about my first baby mama. Her mom and
These are always
dad were
good.
big, staunch Catholics, and I'm basically an atheist. So
okay. Yeah, I'm not a religious either.
I'm not, well, I wouldn't say necessarily atheist, but probably more of an agnostic. I'm just,
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
was dirt beneath their toes. They did not want me being with their daughter. They did not want to raise so they made me adopt the kid out. So I basically had a gun held to my head, say, you either give this kid up or you're never going to see it again. That's your choice. That fucking sucked.
Oh yeah.
And it took me 30-something years to find her, and I finally did.
Oh wow. And you guys reconnect?
We reconnected. I got grandkids.
Oh,
And
congratulations.
We talk all the time. Try to get together a couple times. She lives in Connecticut.
How's she know the whole situation?
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened? Yeah.
But the mama seen me after like a year or two after we broke. It was a bad, nasty, ugly breakup. I mean, I was kind of a dick too, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
she
young.
was a bitch towards me, and it was just got to where it's atomic war. Nobody wins.
Yeah.
And she seen me at a homecoming. She walked up and slapped the fucking wax out of my ears. I mean, she's the only person that ever probably really whipped my ass. I mean, she just probably whop, whop. And I just, sucked it up. I didn't swing back on her, and I just bit my lip, cried, walked off. Oh.
Yeah.
Fast forward to my youngest daughter is in junior high school, and I'm out there for a field trip, be a chaperone. I look down the hall. Who do I see? My high school sweetheart, Laura. I'm thinking, great, I'm going to get my ears boxed in front of a bunch of middle schoolers. Oh, this is going to be a great day. I mean, my stomach just sunk when I seen her. She seen me, and I seen her, and we both kept our distance the whole day. I did the tour of Busch Stadium. She did the tour of the Bowling Hall of Fame, so we didn't cross paths the whole day. And we got out to Troy Park, and he was going to let the kids run wild and have pizza. And I thought, well, I'll just let the kids run wild, and I'll go and grab a pizza. Rachel is sitting next to Laura. Her new daughter and Rachel were good friends.
Oh wow.
I felt like Rod Sterling was going to come out and go, Troy, Illinois, small town, Midwest.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Joe the Animal has slept into the Twilight Zone.
Wow, yeah, no, you definitely that's the worst thing about living in those small towns.
And I mean, that's when I had to break down and tell Rachel, hey, you got a sister somewhere else. It was such a painful thing to bring up and tell him. And then finally, I got a call out of the blue. She found me off my comedy page of all things. That's like finding out that Shemp is your old man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least she wasn't trying to reach out to you for money, right?
No.
No, yeah.
Or
It wasn't like she'd
kidney,
seen
or
you
one
were
of the
this.
ki- you know,
famous,
I need a
oh,
kid-
he's a comedian. He's got tons of money.
I need a kidney.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Ooh. I don't know. I may have that. I told my wife when we first met. She asked me about kids, and I was like, maybe. I don't know. Where I lived was a tourist location. We had a new group of women in every week, and and shit happens. There's a lot.
Well, I half expected a South Korean kid to come up when I had my dad's funeral, because he was like 36 when he got married to my mom. That's a whole nother.
Oh yeah.
And I've been going through some old pictures. I found her in an old soldier, so I'm wondering if she had a boyfriend got killed during World War II.
Oh wow, yeah, you digging through all those. I did that recently. That's where my father gave me a bunch of stuff. Like my great grandfather was a 33rd degree Mason, third to master, and I found like a bunch of his Freemason stuff that I've been reading
I found
into.
I got some pictures of my great grandmother.
Oh, some old school.
Yeah, it's like
black
my
and whites.
grandmother's grandmother.
When they didn't smile, they just
Yeah, I mean, I got some old, like from the 1850s.
man. Yeah.
I had these pictures, and me and my cousin started going over, and she did more of the family tree thing, and I found out who these people were, and I'm able to put pictures with them. And I found this picture of this little girl. I didn't know who it was. It's my grandma when she was a kid. It's really neat.
That is pretty cool to see. Yeah.
We
Yeah,
found out that my great uncle was Benjamin Roller. He defeated Ed Gotch and Strangler Lewis,
Oh, really?
who were both
That's pretty
heavyweight
fucking
champion
famous.
wrestlers.
Look at you. It's in the blood, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he played for the Eagles and the Steelers during World War One. I think they had to condense the teams or something. So was playing for one, then he had to play for the other because of World War One.
Oh, man. Yeah, think of that. That's nuts.
And you go online and see big strapping dude. And if you've ever watched the old time movie Mighty Joe Young, which is like a King Kong, they have the 7 strongest men in the world do a tug of war with Mighty Joe Young, and Strangler Lewis is one of them.
Oh, okay.
And my uncle beat this guy. This guy could take a basketball and pop it.
That's gnarly. That's pretty epic. That would be enough to intimidate anybody. It's like bending a crowbar.
His wrestling was more on the level back then. That was his submission move. He'd get you in a headlock, just start squeezing. You'd be...
That was my brother's. Yeah, my brother was a wrestler. He's all brute. Was not like technical at all. He was just he'd grab you and just squeeze and not let you go until you were done. But
yeah, I got killed wrestling because I always had to wrestle up a weight class. And I could probably eat pancakes and make 140. I could eat pancakes and make 167. If I dieted a little bit, I could have probably been 147, been halfway effective.
yeah,
But I got my plow clean. These guys had diet down from 250 pounds to 167. I'm eating pancakes to go up because they had a whole bunch of little guys, but they had nobody could get up to 167.
Yeah,
and I got murdered. One time I'd seen a set of balls. I'm glad I almost bit them just out of pain. Turns out they were mine.
That's fucked up. Well, right on, man. I appreciate you. I know it's getting late and you got a long drive. My wife's probably wanting to go to dinner, so.
All right, well, have a good dinner, and
you.
thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, man. I'd like to have you on again eventually. I do. I kind of try to rotate the guys, and if you ever got anything big coming up that you want to promote, let me know.
Sure.
We can do something shorter and whatever you.
Yeah,
if you ever got any idea?
I'm full of gnarly stories. I haven't even scratched the surface. I didn't even tell the monkey story. I'll save that for next time.
Oh yeah.